What's going on?
Hello, everybody. Hope y'all having a good evening.
Hey, we got a special guest supposed to be stopping by. I got confirmation from the man himself that Ian Steppler will be on in a little while. So don't know exactly when. He said he can stay for about 20 minutes, and we're going to try to honor that. And, so get your questions ready. If we can work them in, we will. And, we'll try to make a good go of it. So what have you been doing, Lee?
Nothing but work and labeling more lip balms and trying to bottle 5 cases of honey.
Well, you got a big show coming. How much honey are you carrying total?
I think I'm going to bring about 30 cases with me.
30 cases.
Hope that's
what
enough.
Is that? 360 jars?
300 pounds, 300 jars. I'm doing 1 pound jar.
Whoa. Oh, but they're 12 jars to a case, right?
Yep.
So that's 360 pounds, sir.
That's right. I'm doing 25 cases. 25 to 30. Depends on how I feel when I get close to that point. It might be too much.
Nice. Well, hey, I hope that goes good. That's this weekend, right?
Yeah, Saturday.
So if there's anybody, where's it at? So if anybody's like in your area wants to come by, where would they be?
Gonzales, Louisiana, and it's going to be at the Lamar Dixon Expo Center. And it's going to be Saturday from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Jambalaya cook-off, crawfish cook-off, crawfish eating contest, live music, and about 150 vendors.
150 vendors, and that's down. And what's the name of the festival?
Dreams Come True Crawfish Festival.
The Dreams Come True Crawfish Festival. That sounds like something I'd like to go to.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. It'll be a long day.
I should get my sister to take my mom for the week, and then me and my wife should just jump in the car and in the truck and head on down, get us some crawfish boil.
It's in between Baton Rouge and New Orleans.
I've been through Louisiana, but never have stopped. Now, my wife's done the whole Mardi Gras thing and all that crazy stuff. But,
last time I done Mardi Gras was 2001.
I'm going to move my camera, too.
I don't really miss it.
You don't miss it?
Too much action for me. Now, I'm more of a homebody. I go to work, come home, take care of bees. We don't go to the movie. Last movie me and the old lady went to, we got talking here a while back. Last movie we seen was one of the Twilight Saga movies.
So why would you do that when you can like steal it all off the internet now?
Yeah, we got Vudu, Netflix, but I hardly watch TV. I don't even listen to the radio in my car. I got a CB that I turn on.
Here is a did you know fact. Did you know Donald Duck is a beekeeper?
I didn't know that.
There's a couple episodes that he does that you can actually watch on Disney Plus. One is called Beezy Bear, Beezy Bear, and one is called, what is it called? Honey Harvest or something like that.
I'll check that out.
But yes, Donald Duck. See, that's what we need to do now. We need to petition Disney to have a whole Donald's honey farm on like 1,000 of their acres where we can just put like nothing but bee colonies.
That'd be nice. More room, more money for us, and exposure for them.
I know. The only thing that's growing around here is my bee colonies and my rat colony, evidently. That's it.
I think I finally took care of my rat colony last year. They kept on getting to the chicken feed.
Yep, that's what they were in last night. So made an adjustment. If you're watching the Ratmageddon series that I've got going on, I've stayed up basically all night. Every 2 hours I was out there checking on them. And evidently they have found my attic through the crawl space, up the walls to the attic. None in the house, I guess technically that is in the house, but not in the living area. Luckily in 1960, what they did instead of sheetrock is they hung metal mesh on the walls and then they just troweled plaster over it. So all my walls are plaster and grout or whatever you want to call it. So it's hard for them to get into the actual living area, but I can hear them running. So I got their asses today. Which that'll just be a body count when I can crawl up there and grab them, because I bought a industrial bucket full of those Tomcat chunk baits, the square bait. And I took one of these. Oh, hold on. I took one of these boxes right here and took the plastic off of it, and I just dumped a bunch of them in here like a buffet of poison, and went up. I pulled the ladder down from the attic and stuck this in the top and put it back up, and you could hear them running across the attic, grabbing a bait, and then running back away, and they would like drop it halfway, and you'd hear the block, or they were fumbling with the block, kind of like a cat toy. And then you'd hear ee, and then you would hear silence.
That's a good sign.
And hold on one second.
Gabapentin.
Oh, medicine. There you go. Sorry about that, but yeah. So yeah, I'm trying to kill the hell out of them. I had some people tell me today I should just get a 22 that has like snake shot in it and a night vision scope, and then do a whole video of me hunting rats under the chicken coop with night vision. I bet you that thing would go viral. Just
hook you a FLIR up on it.
A FLIR, oh, like the Terminator. It could just see the heat signature of the rats, and then watch it dim out, like fade out. Yeah, I know. Well, that's the whole thing. So it's my plan to go up there tomorrow and harvest deads, because I know the areas, because I could hear them. Like there's one area over the kitchen on the far side of the house, one area over the living room, and so we're going to yeah, the rats, man. And I'll tell you what, I never had rats ever, never had rodents. But what had happened was about a mile, not even a mile up the road, they cleared out a lot of the trees to build new houses. And I think it just like disrupted.
Pushed them out and they had to go somewhere, huh?
Yeah. I mean, I've seen them even at the gas station, like running across the thing. I've never seen them before over here. And now all of a sudden And then I made my honey house, right? Which the ones that were in the screen porch in the boxes, they're all out there now. So they're trying to find places. So now I'm going to poison the crap out of them. So we got so I got that. And then I got the nukes yesterday that looked like your swarm nukes, most of them. 4 out of the 5. I say 3 out of the 5 were really, really strong nukes that I did that live, putting them out yesterday. So that was pretty good. I went back in them today, and I had to add super. I felt confident I had to add a super on them because they had already started drawing the comb up so good. It was pretty impressive to me, and so I saw laid eyes on 2 of the queens, but the 3 strongest ones I couldn't find her. There was just so many bees on everything, I couldn't find her. But they're drawing out comb, and what I'm going to do is let them go ahead and work it, and then I'll go back in it after the bees have had time to spread out. You're shooting them with your 20 gauge? Yeah, that's some big rats. One rat was so fat it couldn't even get out of the chicken wire. Its ass got stuck in the chicken wire, and it was stuck halfway in. It had to back out and find a different way out.
Texas beekeeper asking, you see any queens in the nukes?
In 2 of them I did today. But 3 of them there was just so many bees. They were still all, even on the blank foundation that they were starting to draw out. And I'm saying, when I say starting to draw out, one side of that frame was already like the queen could come behind them and start laying in those shallow cells. You know what I mean? Like she does sometimes. So we will see real soon. I gave them extra space. I want them to be able to spread out in the box as much as possible because that'll make it easier to find the queen or to see if there's not a queen for that matter.
They wasn't marked?
No, none of them were marked. But who knows? They might be. But, I came through winter with 12 colonies, and right now I'm sitting at 32. So I'm not mad at it, but I've run myself into a whole new set of stuff. Remember the other day when I said, I'm not buying any more beekeeping stuff. I think I've got enough. No.
Famous last words.
Yeah, now I'm out of bottom boards and inner covers, and I've got like 2 top covers. So my thing is now when it's late season splits, what do? Just keep putting boxes on them, make them doubles and triples again?
You got all your pro nukes that they came in. That'll help with some of it, but you still going to probably end up needing more.
Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at. I'm probably going to give them. First of all, I want to make sure there's a queen in there, right? That they're queen right in the 3 strong ones. And once I do that, I'm going to start robbing some frames of brood, and put them in some of my weaker colonies to try to boost them up a little bit. You're at 33? Yeah. Well, my thing is I don't even have any more stand space, so I have to put new stands up. And so that's going to be a little bit, yeah. And see, my thing was at the beginning of the year, what did we say? Because you and I were right at the same thing. Where were we trying to get by the end of the year?
Somewhere between 30 and 40.
Yeah. So I'm there already. Now, granted, not all of them are kick ass like those nukes I put in there yesterday. That's one of those things, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Really, my overwintered nukes are doing great. I think I was my own arch nemesis. 18-ounce canvas. The bees will saturate it with propolis. Paul Kelly of University of Guelph. Oh, yeah, I've seen that. And I've seen people use that silver stuff that you cut the hole in the middle. And I think isn't that what Ian uses?
I can't remember if he got the canvas or that like the silver foil insulation type stuff on some of his.
Right. Yeah, I know they sell that at Lowe's or Home Depot. So I don't know. I gotta find something. I mean, I'm gonna have to order more stuff, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And the nukes yesterday were just total impulse when they were like, "Oh, we got nukes for sale." Well, what do you got? How many you got? Yeah, I'll take 5 of them. Let's just go. We'll just take 5.
Yeah, just give me all that right there on that shelf.
Yeah. Hey, here's $900. Just make it rain. So Ian used the shiny bubble wrap. Candles last longer though. Does it give them enough bee space for? I guess it does. It's flexible, right? So
it would still leave a little bit, maybe not quite as much.
So I went in those nukes today, and I know you guys watched that video. Let me see if I can find the photo. I've got it. I do have it here somewhere. See, I sent it to who do I send it to? My kids. That's who I sent it to. I always send stuff to people so I remember. So this was the 5-frame nuke that I put in yesterday. Let me just share my screen. Share the screen. Tab, Facebook, share. Can you punch me in?
Coming up.
All right. So that's the coverage. That's the coverage there of the 5-frame nuke that I put in yesterday. All 10 frames covered, 10 frames, solid.
Looks about like that swarm I caught.
I know. I mean, it's pretty incredible. I was not expecting to see that when I opened it up. So I actually did checkerboard those black plastic frames in with the frames that were there.
You happen to look down below your screen there? We got some company in the waiting room.
Do we? Who can it be now? Oh my gosh. Let's add them. The moment, spoiler alert, this is the only reason you guys tuned in.
Hey, we're going to bring you in.
Hey, there he is.
Good evening, guys. Did I come through?
Yes, sir. Yes. How you doing?
Sick of the cold.
I know that's right. I mean, luckily, well, Lee's down in Louisiana, okay. and I'm in South Carolina, so yeah, a little bit warmer here.
Yeah, I just tried. Actually, I double booked myself this evening. Casey reached out to me to join this.
Yeah, that's him.
Chat.
That's here.
And I was to go out to a meeting 2 hours away. We have a bee meeting I was supposed to attend, and I headed my way out, so I was going to have to miss this. But I got about 5 minutes away, and the roads are snow-packed and ice, and the vehicles are driving slow, and it's like,
you would have missed it.
I turned around. Yeah, I missed the bee meeting, so here I am.
So you got to go home and grab your probably your Tim Hortons coffee cup.
No, actually, I grabbed a beer, so there you go.
and I said, you know what I told Lee before you came on? I said, you know what? Everybody asks Ian the same freaking questions, and I would rather just learn about you because we can watch the videos, I'm like, I was going to ask you, what's your favorite beer?
Oh, yeah. Well, I was drinking Moosehead there, so I'm not sure if it's a Eastern beer.
Okay. I've got a cousin that lives in Roseneath in Ontario, and Labatt's Blue is what we always drank when we were up there.
Yeah, that's the party beer. Yeah, the staple.
Yeah. So, gosh, I know it's killing you. I know you're so ready, chomping at the bit to just get beekeeping already.
Yeah, well, we had an early start, and we had about 3 good days. Probably 5 days of bee flight, and now just a blanket of snow again. I've never seen a spring like this before. It's just so cold. Terrible. Guys are seeing losses. It's not good. Yeah, guys are seeing a lot of losses right out of the sheds, and I'm hanging on. My hives are doing all right, but they're going to time out, so
right.
we need some weather. We need to get some sunshine, and they're calling for another system coming through this weekend, like a lot. They're saying rain and snow, so hopefully it comes as rain and not snow, because I don't think I can handle any more snow. But May 1st, they're saying sunshine, so maybe we'll get back into spring May 1st.
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Oh, that's a long time away. But I do have feed on the colonies. I have syrup. They're taking syrup. That's a good sign when a colony's consuming like that. Well, they're maintaining a brood nest now, and it takes a lot of energy to keep them warm. So I have syrup, and we'll have to go back around to feed them right away. And I do have protein on top of the colonies, and the colonies that are developing have devoured that pound. So we're going to have to go around and add another pound if we don't get, but I don't know how we're supposed to work in this type of weather. So anyways, I don't want to sound like I'm, woe is me.
Well, I mean,
that's where I'm at right now, though.
Now, when is the snow typically over for you? When are you normally able to get out there and just go at it?
Like the snow this time of year isn't unusual. We see it, but we've never just had it all the time this late into May. I've never had this late, pushing. This is when I start boxing my hives up already. Last year, I think at this time I had a little bit of snow, but this last system went through, dumped 2 feet on us. And we never lost the snow from winter. So it's just been a perpetual cold ice box here. Typically I get the hives out April 1st or so, let's say, for an easy date. And typically in April, it's a nice month to work bees. It's when they transition out of winter and you build them up for Maine and do the splits.
Right.
But they just have not. Well, they are. I mean, the colonies are tight and they're not expanding like they should. So hopefully they're maintaining themselves at least. So I don't know.
So
but at least my colonies aren't outright losses. Like a lot of guys are just seeing terrible losses right across Western Canada.
Well,
this time of the year with the cold weather coming back in, are you able to put 1-to-1 on them, or are you having to stay with 2-to-1? Or
yeah, I stick with the heavy feed all the time. The 2-to-1, I guess it probably would work, but I'm more so just wanting to get the sugars down to them as much as I can without them having to do a lot of work. So if I give them a little lighter syrup, it would be more work for them to, process that, I suppose. So I feed them heavy syrup. Yeah.
Now, this is a dumbass question. Chalk this up on your list of dumbest ass questions you've ever gotten.
No, there's no such thing. You know better than that.
All right. So I was thinking, because when I was a kid, I lived in the Midwest and we always got like 2-3 foot of snow. We'd make our snow forts in there. I saw a picture where you had your hives were just covered up with snow the other day. Does that at all act like an igloo, any kind of thermal barrier? I mean, does it help them at all maintain?
Yeah, actually, I'm complaining about that snow, but it was actually a good thing. With this last system to come through, we had terrible cold come through also, so very cold nights. And the snow actually, I think it's helped me because I winter inside, so I don't have winter wraps. So I bring my hives outside; they're exposed. Beekeepers are winter outside or wrapped up, so they probably wouldn't see any difference. But mine are outside, exposed, and we had 2 feet of snow, and it was just exactly like you say. It just kind of encased them and held them nice and comfortable, I'd say. And now they're starting to melt their way out and starting to fly a little bit. But the snow was a good thing in that aspect for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't know, because everybody's like you said, they wrap them, like you move them inside to keep that temperature down. And then it's like, well, but the snow kind of does that at some point, act like a thermal barrier.
Yeah, it was pretty cold. So the snow, I think, helped. Because I know that because when it gets too cold and the cluster tightens right up, they don't drink syrup. And I have pails on them all. And throughout, I brush away the snow, and it was cold out, it's -10 or whatever. And tip back the pail and they're still drawing down the sugar. So it tells me the cluster is loose enough to be able to pull down that syrup.
Now, I have to ask, why did you get into beekeeping?
Why does anybody get into beekeeping? Eh?
Well,
it just kind of stumbles into it. No, we're not a family, beekeeping family. There's a lot of 100-year-old families up here in beekeeping. It's a generational thing for a lot of guys. But for me, I just kind of tripped into it. I actually didn't even know what a swarm was when I was 18 years old. Went to university, took my diploma of agriculture, and there was a beekeeping course offered within that course, just like off the side, just for a couple of credits. And I needed a couple of credits
Elective,
to,
right?
yeah, I was shy 2 credits. The beekeeping course is 2 credits. There's a dairy lab for 4 credits. And my buddy and I, he was in the same situation as me, and looked at the beekeeping courses. We kind of laughed at it. But he said, no, we don't want to take the dairy lab because that's 4 credits. That's 2 credits too many. So we decided to take this beekeeping class. But the problem was, it was a good thing my buddy was with me at that time, because it was an after hours class and it was Wednesday night. And Wednesday night was pub night
Ladies'
on
night.
camp. Yeah,
Ladies'
pretty
night.
much. And I said, well,
Wednesday
we can't go to the beekeeping class because we'll miss the campus on pub night on campus. And he says, no, Ian, think. We'll go to this beekeeping course. It was 7 o'clock till 9, I think. He said, you don't go to the pub at 9 o'clock anyways. We go at 10. So by the time we get done the course, clean up, we'll go to the pub after. And so that's what we did.
And all the ladies that got there early have already had 3 hours of drinking.
Yeah. So after that, I bought 4 colonies, and then, the rest is history. 1,600 in the shed. Yeah.
That's what kind of percentage loss do you think you're gonna end up with this year so far?
Well, that's a good question. I'm not sure, and I don't want to be too bold either because we're having another system bear down on us. But out of the shed, I was running 5% loss, and that was mostly to starvation. I had some pretty big colonies go in, and we had unusual conditions in the fall. Then they pollen packed on me, and I didn't get as much sugar as I needed to get into them. So the big colonies were starting to starve out on me, and I had the opportunity to move them out in the sunshine. They flew. We got feed onto them. So we pulled 5% outright to starvation. And then when we made our second round here with patties, we're digging a little deeper, and we're able to see some other issues like queens and drone layers, just, those very typical. So we ended up with about another 5, so 10%. And I imagine if we go around this next time with patties, we'll start finding more issues too. As we have patties on, and the colonies are developing, they're devouring that protein, especially when there's none out there. And with the colonies without the any consumption, that usually means there's an issue. So we'll probably flag those go down. And I imagine 15%, I hope. And if things don't smarten up, it could double that pretty quick. Yeah. We're here. Guys are losing 70% up here. One guy was talking to 90%. Those are extremes. Lots of guys are around 50% losses. And then whatever they have is just shitty little colonies. So
usually when that happens, then people start thinking, is it even worth it? When you lose that strong, it's like, is it just time to get out of it?
Yeah. Some of these are their livelihoods, 2,000, 5,000 colony guys. And it's not easy. Like, it's not the first time we've seen losses either, though, but it's just tough. Price of honey is good. So that's one thing that's going to help. If we're able to maintain colony numbers best we can, at least we can capitalize on the better honey crop, or better honey price, if we can get a crop. So that's one thing that's going to help keep them going. But we're having problems with, and this is what one of my meetings was. I was going to a meeting basically in reference to this. So we're having trouble getting replacement stock to fill in the dead spots. There's not enough bees for sale across Canada because everybody's bees are dying. And our traditionally sourced packages typically come from New Zealand and Australia and Chile. They just don't have enough to be able to supply the losses that Canada is seeing. It's just not a Manitoba thing here. And the big stir right now is accessing American stock from California, and it's very controversial. So actually,
Right.
it's actually not a bad thing I'm missing this meeting right now. I was going to get axes thrown at my head. I'm the chair of the Manitoba Beekeepers Association. So.
Right.
So at any rate.
Well, is there just like some reason that Canada doesn't want you to import bees from the United States, or?
Yeah, it's been closed for about 35 years now. And it was restricted due to, I think they first closed it to the tracheal mite, and then it stayed because of varroa mite. So we've, beekeepers in Canada for the longest time used to buy packages from Georgia,
Right.
California, these beekeeping families in Canada used to know these families down in the southern states and areas like that. And the border closed just like that. And all of a sudden we had to adjust our way of beekeeping up here. This is before I started beekeeping. And then, I mean, there's some businesses down in the southern states that almost went broke because they just lost their clientele with
overnight,
just one.
right?
Yeah, government just dropped an axe and you can't cross that line.
Damn
So
it,
it's
Justin Trudeau. No, just kidding.
blame everything on him, right?
Yeah.
But it's been 35 years, and we do import queens from California, and there's an opportunity maybe to tap into some package producers within that northern Sacramento area within California. So there's an opportunity there. It's just it does bring risk, and there's a lot of beekeepers in Canada not wanting to maybe expose themselves to small hive beetle if there is any there, or Africanized isn't really an issue because we're already bringing queens from there, but there's also resistant varroa mite diametraz. I know beekeepers use a different treatment down in the States than we do in Canada. So there's
Right.
issues around importing that we have to acknowledge. Just when guys are losing their livelihoods because they can't access stock and they see all these bees just south of us, it's kind of a hard pill to swallow,
Well, when Canada has to start importing more and more honey because you don't have the bees to produce it yourself and the price starts getting jacked up, then all of a sudden the politicians will start, oh, wait a minute, we'll do something.
Yeah, it's becoming an economic issue, actually. This is the Canada-wide thing. So you look at maybe not so much where I am because we're just strictly honey producers. But when you talk about pollination, we have hybrid canola pollination in Alberta. And I think there's 22 million acres there that needs to be pollinated. And there's shortened bees there. And then you have in the West Coast and the East Coast, we have blueberry pollination. And those blueberry producers are seeing a shortage of bees. Like they haven't got into the season yet, but they can't find enough bees. They can't source enough bees to be able to satisfy their pollination needs. So there's going to be like
I'll load my 32 situation up, man. I'll load them up, throw them in the back of the truck. Just tell me where to drop them.
I think they're paying pretty well this year too. So once you get these, you get the growers into the situation, it becomes a more like a heavier lobby group, right? Like beekeepers, no one listens to beekeepers, but once you get these grain farmers or blueberry producers and they start falling short, then the hammer starts banging. So then there might be some attention to be made. But I hope I'm not sounding like, as a chairperson, I'm supposed to be neutral. So if there's anybody watching this who's like, damn it, Ian, you're on the wrong side of the issue.
Yeah, we're small channels. So unless you broadcast that you are on here on your channel, the 28 people watching appreciate you for sure.
Well, it's all good, but it is what it is, right? In a lot of ways. So we just have to be able to navigate ourselves through certain types of issues and situations. So anyway,
well, just ask
that's what I'm going on. That's what's happening up here with me right now. So I'm just kind of laying it on the line.
Ian, just propose the question to him. Just say, do you think the bees know where the border is between the U.S. and Canada?
20 miles south of here. Like I'm just across the line, 20 miles north of North Dakota. That's where I am. And I'm not sure who it is. Some beekeepers from somewhere migratory. They come up in North Dakota. I think there's 600,000 hives move up into that state. But right along the line, as close as you can actually drive to that line without getting in trouble, he's got a semi-load and he drops. He must be a yard per half semi-load. I'm not sure how many gets on a semi-load. Big yards. Boom, 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 boom. And they're flying across getting Canadian flowers. Yeah, those bees don't know any difference.
Yeah, I would, rent a barge and like there's some St. Lawrence Seaway, whatever, right there. Just load up the whole barge full of bee colonies and just like anchor out right off the shore of Canada.
It's like smuggling cigarettes, smuggling bees.
Yeah, just hey, prove they're my bees. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
that's funny. Yeah. But it's crazy how the politics can shut down the whole deal. It's
we also don't want bees on comb coming across the line. We just want the bees in the package, because if bees come across the line, and this is what maybe some of the fear is with beekeepers up here, is if we open up the packages and then the next step is bees on comb. And if that happens, then we'll have all those migratory beekeepers that line up along the line, drive up
Right.
here and take all our honey from us. So we're not too thrilled about that, because then we're definitely mixing all the pests and pathogens from all the United States up to Canada. So I think that situation, as long as we can keep it separate from the package situation, we should be able to. I don't know how things are
Work
going to
it out
sort out.
somewhere.
Yeah, I hope we can figure something out. But a lot of beekeepers don't like it. So I mean, that's how things go, right? It's
Yeah.
democracy. Yeah.
How I mean, this is a pretty open question. So you're part of a co-op with BMaid, I think.
Bee Made Honey Co-op, yeah.
So how, this is a long answer, I'm sure. How exactly does that work? I know they've got some in the United States, but I mean, is there a qualification on how many colonies you have to have, or?
Yeah, we have a minimum amount of honey that you have to produce to be able to be part of the co-op. But so what the co-op is I think there's 350 of us, Western beekeepers, and we market our honey together. We market about 25 million pounds of honey, and we market it as 100% Canadian honey. So we're not. I think CB Honey is also a co-op. I know there's some Canadians part of that co-op, but they don't market as 100% American honey. They do some blending. I'm pretty sure our co-op is 100% Canadian honey, and that's where we get our edge. That's where we get we're able to hold our markets that way. So we sell all across Canada. We supply most of the major chains with their private labels. We sell offshore, Japan, Caribbeans. We sell down into the States. You're a tougher market to sell into, though. You're a lot more cutthroat because there's a lot more blending, I think, in the States than we sell in other places of the world. So it works very well.
Well, I think people down here are starting to wise up a little bit when they go in the grocery store and they find a $2 bottle, or $3 bottle of honey in a bear, and you flip it over and it says product of the USA, Venezuela, Argentina, and it's all blended together. So
yeah, it's tough to compete in that market. Our retailers are up here. They seem to be scared stiff of recalls and such, and they want authentic food, which is perfect. That's what you want through all your food sources, authentic food. And that's what the consumers are demanding. So that's what the retailers, I mean, everything has price points and such, but they seem to be, we're maintaining our honey contract because of that, because we can guarantee our authenticity. And we deal with Costco Canada, able to hold that contract because we can prove the authentic nature of our honey. Where I look down in the States, and that Costco in the States, unless things have changed, they used to carry the American honey, like 100% American, but they've gone to Argentine honey. So it's just like, wow.
Yeah, and it's so cheap. I mean, what they're selling a 2-pack for, I'm selling 1 pound for. It's like I'm selling a pound for $10, and they're selling 2.5 pound or 2 pound jars for like 12.
Yeah, and I hope that honey's authentic. I hope it's not, transshipped from China or someplace like that. But when it comes from other countries like that, you got to ask yourself, it's how honest are these brokers, right? So right. That's you guys are playing a different game in the honey market in Canada. It's really refreshing to see organizations like these retailers actually acknowledging that, and we're holding our place on the shelf at a good price for it.
Yeah, I wish they'd be a lot more stricter on ours here as far as all the importing and blending.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I mean, just from now, I don't have the knowledge you do on the subject, because you deal big time in it, and I sell to old people that drive up in my driveway. So, but the old people that drive up in my driveway, they don't ever negotiate my price. If I say it's $10, I get $10.
Yeah, and that's what BMaid's doing, in a way, is doing exactly what you're doing to your customer. Is that customers coming to you, buying the honey from you as the producer of that honey, and there's that trust between you and your customer that honey is authentic. and we're doing that with bee made honey in a lot of ways too, is we're taking our customer and we can prove that that honey that customer is buying is from these producers from Western Canada. And we're drawing a line from that retailer back to those customers or to the producers so that
It's
farm
a chain
gate.
of custody.
Yeah. And I think it works. And we're selling our honey with, we've got our beekeepers' faces on there and we're telling the story. And I think we gain a lot of, what's the word for
Credibility.
credibility and ongoing support. What's the word? I forget. They always come back to you because they trust you.
Little
Loyalty.
product
Yeah. And once you lose that loyalty from your customer, it's hard to get back. So I think we've able to maintain that loyalty with our customer just by telling that story between the beekeeper and the retailer. And I always, there's in the States, talk to American beekeepers and their perspectives are a lot different than ours in Canada. I can appreciate that. It's not perfect in Canada by any rate, but there's the tone about the honey on the retail shelf as being garbage honey and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, whoa, just a minute, we're packing, we own our packer. We pack 25 million pounds. We're on that retail shelf, those chain stores, the same one, like I'm not supposed to actually say which ones, but we're on those shelf stores with our honey and it's not cut. Right. So you just got to watch how we convey that narrative sometimes to the customer, because our honey, there's a lot of American producers with honey on those shelves too, so
Right.
you look at Bob Beanie, he's supplying a lot of chain stores down in the States there. So we got to be careful how we provide that narrative. But yeah.
Well, the best thing that I have for selling my honey is it's just local, right? It's got the local pollens. It's raw, just strained, not heated, blah, 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 the whole deal. But I think the biggest thing when people come up to buy honey, they don't question it because they see my colonies right there. And it's like, well, this is the guy that makes the honey. So this is where we're coming to. So
yeah, my neighbors come, they won't buy. I sell in a little store down in Miami too, because it's easier to direct the honey house sales down there than for me to do it here. But I still have old farmers want to come to my doorstep because half of it is talking to the beekeeper too, right?
Right. Yeah.
So I do waste an hour talk, but it's good talking to neighbors too. It's nothing wrong with that. But they want that connection, where that comes from, and then that story behind that, and the connection that I produced it, and then they enjoy it a little bit more in their coffee every morning.
Right. And it seems like they don't mind paying the extra little bit too.
Oh, there's some pretty fussy farmers up here. They're cheap.
Well, I mean, I understand,
but I have
man.
bees on their land, so I'm like, I'll give you a
Can't argue with them too much.
Yeah, but when you start ordering everything in beekeeping seems astronomically expensive, and when like I said, I only have 32 colonies, but someone like you that's got thousands, if you make a $5 change to your equipment, that's $7,500 when you multiply it times every piece of every colony you have. So and you're not going to find a $5 nothing to go on any colony, $20 bottom boards, $20 boxes, and that's before shipping, and shipping is killing us right now. I probably ordered my new honey extracting equipment in the wrong year because I paid about $1,000 shipping to get it to my house. Yeah,
the world seems to be on its head right now. It's not a good time. Costs are increasing, commodity prices are going up, but how's all this balance out? How's it all going to shake out at the end? And we just hope, with the commodity prices, like our grain prices are very high right now. We have expensive, like fuel prices, fertilizer prices, chemical prices, like you say, transportation is killing us both ways. If all of a sudden we lose the commodity price, what happens to all those inputs? So
Right.
Everybody's pretty nervous. That's one thing about the honey business as compared to the cattle or grain business we have going on here, is with the honey business, there's very little of that high capital, high stakes, high input need to be able to operate Like the grain farm is just ridiculous. We were running like 1%, 2% margins. The honey farm, we don't have those high expenses. Even the capital costs, capital investments are in the business. It's not there. My biggest cost is sugar and labor, and then throw medication in there. And then, so it's the adjustment with our high honey price. We're pretty well. If it drops even if the commodity, if the sugars, or even if our labor increases a little bit, it doesn't hurt us as bad as other sectors of agriculture potentially could. You
Right.
know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, I think, with your situation, with the potential for, well, I mean, everybody gets losses. I mean, it's going to happen, but
losses, that's another big expense. That's something that's a tough one. Yeah.
Well, it sets your
so
time
expensive.
back, right? So you lost the bees, you're making splits. Now those splits have to grow to be able to produce the crop that you need to pay the bills. So it's just like that never ending cycle.
I always say you'll make money, and the beekeepers are always bothering me. Can I make money in this business? I'm like, yeah, you'll make money in this business as long as you can keep the bees alive. And that's the secret, just to keep those bees alive, right? It might be easy in the first 2 or 3 years, and then you expand a little bit too big, and then they all die, and then we're just.
That happened to me my first year.
Oh, so
my
you're
first
lucky
year. I split, I watched YouTube videos. I didn't go to any classes, and you can just, when they start getting big, you just split them. So I got up to 15 colonies, and everything was going good until the small hive beetle decided they liked my colonies too much. And
you have them.
Wiped it out down to 4. I overwintered 4 nukes out of 15 colonies. And then oddly enough, by the end of the second year, I had 15 double deeps. And then out of this winter, I went from 15 double deeps and actually coming out of winter with 12 colonies. And now I'm at 32 with some nukes I bought and some splits and everything. So it's looking good right now, but anything can happen. It's like Vegas, baby.
It's good to learn lessons off the start like that, because once you get yourself in a little deeper and more capital investment put in, it's harder to maintain momentum, so it's better that way, I say, off the start than later on. And
I think where my problem comes in right now is, now I'm at 32 colonies, right? I've got some deep boxes. I've got plenty of, what I consider plenty of honey supers right now ready to go. But now what about late season splits? Because I have pretty much all my deep equipment is used, with the exception of maybe 13 boxes. So it's like, I'm going to have to split these things later on this year, probably. So now I'm like, do I need to just buy more equipment and just beat my head? It's like never ending.
Never ending. Yeah.
So maybe I have to find somebody that's getting rid of some old equipment. I don't know. Try to save something.
Yeah, we got a question down here at the bottom from Mike. Why all the massive losses in Manitoba right now? Just the weather?
There's conversation around that. We're still trying to figure out what exactly happened, but there's a lot of conversation amongst beekeepers in regards to, we had a terrible drought last summer, and I think it's all stemmed from the stress related to that drought. Extreme heat, extreme dryness, smoke, like all Western Canada was on fire, which is so smoky, and the bees are stressed. And I think it stressed the plants too. So maybe the drought set the bees off a little bit. Maybe they didn't have the nourishment they needed, but just absolutely ideal conditions for varroa mite. And we sail in after the honey flow, got as much honey as we possibly could, preparing our hives for winter. And I think the massive amount of mites within the brood nest, or how should I explain this? Our treatment timing period's very specific, and it has to be on time. And I think what happened was our timing was off just a little bit, so we weren't able to target the mites as we should have. And then we went into fall, which is extremely unusual fall. We didn't have a frost until mid of October. And what happened was the canola fields, which looked like they died through the summer, farmers harvested, the roots never died. We had a little bit of rain then in August into September, and it rejuvenated all those plants. So right into middle of October, which is very late, we had blooming fields of canola, probably more flowers at that time of year than we did all July. And what that did is it sent those bees that were supposedly going in as a winter nest, it brought them out back into their summer, like they're actively foraging, bringing in canola honey, bringing in canola pollen, starting to brood up their nests. So it kind of set them off again. And when they started brooding like that with all the mites as we missed, I think just hit underneath the brood cappings, multiplied again as they went into winter, not exposed to any type of treatments to control them, and just killed everything. So I think, and then we had a very long and cold, snowy bitch of a winter, and now we're entered into a very long, slow, cold spring. So we've just had a challenge for probably the last 9 or 10 months with just weather, all because I think the bees are just unable to shift properly, and we weren't able to treat our hives adequately. So that, and my situation here, according to my tests, I was able to control the mites. I got my treatments in and targeted and killed everything. So it looks like I was able to get by that. But with that late season canola that's coming in as winter feed, like a lot of it was coming in. One of the reasons why we manage our colonies in singles is because we want to take all the honey for harvest, but we also want to take that canola honey and keep it out of the brood nest for winter because it makes terrible winter feed. So what was happening later on in the season, we had all this canola honey coming in. They're packing that terrible winter feed into our nests. So my hives went into winter full of syrup with canola honey. And bees are very fussy. They're like children. They'll eat the best feed first, right? So they eat all the syrup and all the alfalfa honey and all the good honey. And then right at the end of winter, when they're running out of feed on me, they start eating that canola honey. And I don't know if bees get into indigestion, but it certainly seemed like it. They started digging into the corners to get that canola honey, and they just started pooping everywhere. You could see it on the fronts of my hives. And I put them out when I had that opportunity, and they flew, and there is shit everywhere. It's just crazy. It was messy. We had to go out and emergency feed because we were seeing about 35% of the hives starving at that time. So we were out the next day after we set them out with pails, and they're flying, and we were just getting covered. It was just,
I saw that video.
Shit spattered everywhere. It tastes
I was gonna wear a face
terrible.
shield.
It was gross. You hope I wish we could have left them 3 days to fly, but we've only had 5 days of flight so far, and we had to get that feed down. And my jacket just stunk. Like I'm used to being in the cattle yard with cattle shit and just reeking at cattle, but bee shit, that was a very distinctive
just hitting you
smell
from all directions.
It wasn't good.
So that was another.
It was a shitstorm, a literal shitstorm. That's what I say in my presentations, and there's truth to that. But there's a lot of things that come together to a perfect storm that killed a lot of guys' hives in Western Canada. Unfortunately,
well,
we're just seeing the end of it.
We had an absolutely weird winter. On New Year's Day, it was 78 degrees here, which I think is about 24, 25 C on New Year's Eve. And then it would be 80 degrees, which is 26. And then it would get, by the weekend, it was snowing. And then it would warm back up again. And then the following Saturday, it was snowing again. So the bees were in this constant break cluster, eat, forage, come back, cluster. Is it going to be winter? The queens all, do we lay brood? Do we not lay brood?
Yeah.
I saw them drone up and then pull all the drones out. Oof. And then drone up again, and they were just removing brood because they didn't know. That's the only thing I could say is they didn't know what was going to happen.
That's got to be stressful because they're like back and forth all the time. Yeah. There's no consistency at all to that.
And my dumbass
last year in February, we started warming up, and then it dropped down to like 20 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about -6 for you. And it stayed there for a couple of days, and all the drones they had started producing, they all just got kicked out and died. So they had to start over with queen rearing. Wouldn't know drones for mating.
And we did in my dumbass, I did early splits, right? I'm like, oh, it's nice. We can split these right now. I made 10 splits, which when you have 12 colonies and you make 10 splits, that's about 30 frames, right? So you broke up basically 25% of your colonies into nukes. and none of them made it at
Oof.
all. So, I mean, I just weakened everything and then
Yeah.
made some late. Then I just started buying queens and stuff to make splits. I'm like, F it. Let's make this happen. It's going to cost us something.
Yeah, nothing easy about this business. We're always guessing on what's going to happen, and it's always like we're 2 weeks behind all the time, because by the time we see what's actually happened, it's too late. So we're always playing catch up. The secret is anticipating, right, and reading the weather, but sometimes it catches you.
Well, I've got about 3 questions left that I have for you personally. The first one being, when you started beekeeping, what's the one thing you wish you would have known to not do, or to do for that matter, when you started?
Boy, that's a good question. Beekeeping is a funny thing, because you can read, you can watch, you can talk to guys all you want, but you don't actually understand or learn until it happens to you. So I could say, oh yeah, I wish this, but I wish I didn't do this. But if I didn't experience it, then it isn't ingrained into me to make sure I don't do it again, right? So every negative experience, I think, is very important for beekeepers to be able to, learn. And that's how you learn your craft, and that's how you really tune into all these little things within your environment, and which is different from everybody else, right? This just helps you read what's going on a lot better. So those lessons are very important, I think. But to answer that question is, in farming in general, maybe, but to step away from those little buggers more often than I did off the start, because they're very controlling. And just because all these dynamics that are happening all the time, you're trying to get one step ahead all the time, just as farmers naturally try to do, but it just rules your day and you can't get away. And then you try to have a wife and family with kids, you can't be at the farm all the time trying to manage affairs. You got to be able to get away from it, because if you can't get away from it, well, what's the bloody point? And it's just you're going to end up just hating your life doing something you absolutely love. So you have to be able to and get away. That's something I learned the hard way a long time ago.
Well, that's a similar answer to my answer to that question. My answer to that question was, when I first started, would have been to fight the urge to go in the colony, because you're so excited. You watch all these videos. You're excited about getting your first nuke or package. Right now, you've got your package and you put it in the colony. Now, what do you want to do? Now you got bees in a box, right? It's like, well, what the hell? So now you want to go out and check them every day, right? You're like, oh, look, they're drawing comb, but you're not helping anything. At that point, there's nothing you can really do, other than mess something up.
You need a sacrificial hive. Like the kids, when they have little chicks, we always have 2 or 3 in the side. These are the ones you handle. Poor little chicks,
Right.
And those ones you leave alone. Same with beehives. Hey, you pick on 1 or 2.
That's what I said. For the small beekeeper, if you got 4 or 5 hives, don't go in all of them every single day. Go in one day, one in the next day. That way you're not messing with them every day, but you still get to see bees every day.
Yeah, and you don't have to. Maybe off the start of my beekeeping journey, I was always going down and finding the queen. You don't have to ever actually find that queen. If you can read the nest, you can see exactly what's going on. Actually, finding the queen is useless, other than just maybe determining her age, or just because you like to look at queens. But if you look at seeing what the nest is doing, that's all you need to do. And you can do that with pulling 1 frame.
I don't even mark my queens anymore. I had first year, I decapitated a queen and watched one fly into the wind, and I was like, yeah, I'm done with this shit. That's $60 that I just, for what? I'm marking a queen so I can see it. It doesn't do anything for the colony. Nothing for the colony. Right?
No, we don't mark queens. Maybe we should, just because we like to track things, but I ended up as just note keeping and information I would never use anyways, because just the way we beekeep up here within my operation, we just let things succeed itself. So we focus on the hives that are having trouble, and we promote the hives that are flourishing, right? So that's basically our strategy.
Well, it seems to be working out for you, for sure.
so far. I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't talk too bold though, because we have a big ass storm, Colorado low. It's going to just slam us this weekend. It's not going to be good.
All right. The second question
The
is
great equalizer, right? Mother Nature.
the second question we ask pretty much everybody on here. What's the biggest piece of crap beekeeping equipment you wish you never bought? Like you just like this was just a waste of money. Why did I buy it?
I did.
Of course, you don't know that till after you buy it. So
yeah, I did start transitioning into screened bottom boards because I was, and there's probably places for it, and there's probably beekeepers that effectively use screened bottom boards, maybe in hotter places too, or maybe they use different Varroa type management practices. But when I transitioned a lot of my operation into screen bottom boards, thinking that I'd be able to manage Varroa mites better, and it ended up just being more work and a wax moth problem because I have my trays in there and there's always debris. It's just so then I removed. So that would be the only thing that I would have not done is screen bottom boards.
right.
See, even in South Louisiana, as much heat we get down here, I still use all solid bottom boards. I
Okay.
didn't even want the
I use them
screen.
too. Yeah,
Some
my
guys
thing was
use it for ventilation, maybe I was thinking, but
I use a feeder ring on top with ventilation holes to let the heat out in the summertime out of the top, and I use a solid bottom board to keep beetle larvae from getting back to the soil as easily. They have to actually crawl out to the front, right?
yeah, I
And
guess so.
and hopefully the little bastards roast on the bottom of the hive. And actually, I started using peppermint candies.
Yeah, I was watching one of your lives here when I was eating supper before I went back out. You were talking about that in your patties. How did that work out for you?
They love it. And here, traditionally, if I put a half-pound patty on, they might get 25% into the patty before there's beetles and beetle larvae in it. When I was doing the experiment, they actually got to about only a silver dollar size left on the patty before there was any beetles or larvae in it. And then 2 weeks later, I went back in the colony, no beetles, no larvae, no nothing. And the candies on the corner, I had somebody that was watching a live stream that ended up living 5 miles down the road from me. Who knew? And they came over. We went through 15 colonies. We saw 3 hive beetles out of 15 colonies. They stopped on the way home and bought a bag of peppermints, put it in their colony with the hive beetles, and they sent me a message the other day that said, I don't know what it is about them, but that colony has no hive beetles anymore.
Wow.
So Earl Casey, who sent you the original message to come on the show, he's the one that started the fed. He said his mentor showed it to him years and years ago. He said that's what they used to do. But there's no money in that, right? There's no supplier is going to make money by telling you, oh, just go buy some peppermint candies and all your hive beetles will be gone. You know, I don't have anything in the. I've bought everything, Ian. I've bought the damn beetle bottom, not the blaster one that's $200, but the trim ring that's got the flare in it to supposedly keep beetles out. I bought the Guardian hive entrances, the oil traps, all that shit at $4 or $5 a piece. But you can't just have a $4 oil trap. You got to have 2 $4 oil traps per box. It's like bullshit. And then you still have hive beetles. So I use Swiffer sheets. And if you go back to my January videos, you'll see me pulling Swiffer sheets off. And the Swiffer sheets are loaded with beetles. But there's still beetles in the colony. It's just only half of them are gone or however many gone. So we're rolling with peppermint this year. We're going to let it go.
That's interesting. Yeah.
And question number 3. I've got to go to teach a group of 4th graders beekeeping on the 3rd of May. And this is the second year I've gone to the school. But I heard you talk about your waggle dance Skittles.
Oh,
thing.
Yeah, you got to do that. It's a lot of fun. I have 5 kids, and I've been to their class when they get to a certain teacher who likes to bring farmers in, to connect the kids with agriculture. So I'm the beekeeper, and I'm, my child's in the class, so I go and talk about bees. And one of the things I do is I teach them how bees communicate. and they communicate, with smells, and they communicate with vibrations in the hive, and they also communicate with dancing. So what I do is I show them exactly how they do this, and I'm actually in school teaching kids recruitment. I'm not sure if that's appropriate or not, but I buy a bag of Skittles, and that's my flower source. I put that in the far end of the classroom, and then I have my class of kids as my beehive, right? So in the morning, the scout bee goes out, which is me, and I go fly around the classroom, and then I go to the Skittles, and I find this, and I have one. Oh, that tastes really good. And I take one Skittle back, and I fly back to where I left, like my entrance. I hand the Skittle to one of the kids, and the kid eats it. And I said, well, do you like that? And she's, oh yeah. Do you want some more? Oh yeah, I want some more of that. So I stand her up and I say, how do you think I'm supposed to tell you where that is when I can't talk to you? And the kids, this is before I tell them about the dance and all that. So they're scratching their head, and they have no idea. And I says, well, the bees communicate to each other in this way by dancing. So I'll show them the waggle dance. So I stand up and I go down to the bee, and I just wiggle my bum as hard as I can, and then draw a circle and do it again. And I said, now I just told you where that is. So the two of us go and we fly around the classroom with the Skittles, and we each have a Skittle. And then we each grab a Skittle and we bring it back to the front. I give one to one kid and she gives one to another, and they both eat it, and they say they want some more. So now the two of us do the waggle dance. So we do, both of us, the girl or the boy, and I just shake her little bums as hard as we can to show those two where it is. So then the four of us go, and then it's just a continuation,
And by the end, the whole class is waggle.
I get the whole, and then the whole, just like a beehive, when you get some of that incoming nectar coming in before all the rest know exactly what's going on, there's that excitement, right? And it's just in the classroom, the same thing's happened, because I picked the first kid and the second, and then the four, and then the six of us, and all the rest want Skittles. So they're just waiting for their turn, right?
Right.
And right at the end, the whole class is up, and they're all shaking their bums, and they're all going to the Skittles, and it's just a feeding frenzy, just like how a robbing event is within a yard. It's just kids in the Skittles like this, and it's just a fun, really fun thing. So you should try that, because it's every time I go into I teach that to the kids, and then I see them years and years after,
they still remember
the bee
it,
dance. Right? Yeah, they do a little bee dance in front of me.
Nice.
Grown adults say.
I had
it's a lot of fun.
So I did it last year, but I did it virtually, right, because of COVID. And this year I'm going to the school, so I've got an observation hive over here. I'm going to load up.
Oh, nice.
And I'm going to do the Skittles. And last year on the Zoom, I did a PowerPoint presentation. Of course, it was shared to all the classes. And then because it was on Zoom, I was able to then log out from my computer and into my phone. And I walked out to the bee yard.
Oh, nice.
And was able to find a queen in the nuke and show them. And then like about 2 weeks later, I got this envelope full of just pictures of where they were drawing honeybees and sending it to me for thank you cards and stuff.
Yeah,
so,
that's good.
It was nice time. Good times. So, Frank,
this last time I was there, there's a boy, like they're, how old are they? I should, 13 years old. No, 12-year-old. The kids are 12 years, and puts his hand up. How much do you pay on your honey farm? I need a job this summer. I says, well, you're only 12. My minimum is 15, but I pay, $15 an hour starting and all this crap. $15 an hour. Oh, I can hardly wait. So it's, it recruits. I have a lot of kids that I've taught bees to, like in our local school here, come to the farm after.
Like you're already
work.
scouting.
Yeah.
Them.
I'm recruiting them.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So Frank's Bees asks, Ian, do you ever feed corn syrup?
I do. I don't feed as much anymore as I used to. Corn syrup is a really good feed for bees. Fructose is very familiar to them, so they can really. It almost seems like they're able to convert that. I don't know if there's any difference, but it just seems like they're able to then convert that into brood a lot easier, I find. But corn syrup can lead to degradation, so you get what the hell is it?
Nozema?
No, the breakdown of the sugars forms. What is it called? DFM or no? At any rate, with time and exposure to sunlight, the corn syrup will break down and is really hard on the bees' guts. So as long as they're flying, they're able to get rid of it. But up here, when we have cold and we have winter that just goes on forever, uh, that property of the decomposition of that corn syrup can really add to stress in the wintering colony. So I've primarily shifted over to sucrose because I get by the tanker load and I bring sucrose in. That's just all I feed. But when I get a chance in the spring, if I do have access to it, I'll feed corn syrup. And corn syrup really is a nifty trick when you're mixing patties. You mix patties, make sure you keep all the water out. Otherwise, it turns into a block, like a hard block. You use the corn syrup as your liquid, and it'll keep that patty soft forever because it's hygroscopic nature, and it'll just allow the bees to utilize it and never go hard on you.
So if you're doing it on a small scale, like someone like me, where I make up like 10 pounds or, of pollen patty at a time. So you're saying use corn syrup in that first instead of using 1-to-1, just use corn syrup instead.
Yeah. If you can use inverted sugar, like I use sucrose now, corn syrup's a lot better, but because I have so much of the beet sugar, like the sucrose, I use that. It's inverted, but it still dries out a little bit because it evaporates off. It's a lot better than when you're mixing just the dry sugar with water, because the water will evaporate. But I mean, if you do what you got to do, right?
Then it ends up like a hockey puck.
Yeah, then they can't access it. I still wrap it in wax paper all the same, just for easier handling and such. But
I've actually gone away from that too as part of that experiment. For me, it wouldn't make sense on your scale. It makes sense on my scale to put them in sandwich bags, because you can put about a half pound in there and limit beetle access.
Oh, yeah, that would be handy. I'd say.
Just slice it around the side and put a cutout in the bottom. Keep the beetles have to fight the bees to get into it, right? So just kind of limit the access. So Casey said that it's where is it? Hydroxymethylfurol.
HMF, that's what it is. Exactly. That's what I was trying to say. Yeah. I think I was saying DFM or something. That's something totally different. That's probiotic, I'm pretty sure.
So we're getting a lot of comments. I actually sent links to Casey. I said, Casey, you got him on the show. Come on in. But he hadn't used the link yet.
Hey, he's feeling a little under the weather. He just texted me a minute ago.
Well, we appreciate Earl, the hillbilly beekeeper. You need to make, I don't know, has he made you a song yet? An Ian Steppler song?
I haven't heard it. If he has, it'd be Casey, quite unique.
I guarantee if he hasn't, tomorrow you'll probably have one.
It'll probably be a country song where I'm complaining and whining about the cold and the bees are dying. And
well, the good thing is if you play that song in reverse, you get your bees back, you get your hive back. The snow melts, everything works. But so we do this show every Tuesday night, Ian. Any night you want to stop in. We do this one. We just do it when we feel like talking, because we're going to talk about bees anyway. And one night we have one that's called the No Life Beekeeper Chat, where we're just hanging out and talking, just a bunch of no life beekeepers. And, we like to keep it light. I know you probably get blasted with the same questions over and over and over again. So
yeah, kind of. But it's all about the conversation. Like, I don't like to answer the questions on, you ask me about feeding protein patties or whatever. Or no, the one I get all the time is, how do I manage my bees in single boxes? And it's not so much about managing them in single boxes. It's about, what are you trying to achieve that leads you to manage them in that single box? So that question leads to conversation, which can go anyway, so talking to beekeepers, regardless if it's the same over and over, it's more so tapping into their experience and then trying to figure out their situation to make it work into kind of what I'm doing here, seeing what I'm
Right.
using and what I'm doing, how that can apply over there and how it doesn't. So it's quite interesting. Yeah.
That's well, I went to single brood management this year. Lee's doing single brood management, and we're trying to produce honey. To some. I can sell 4,800 pounds of honey here in South Carolina without having my processing facility inspected by the state.
Oh, okay.
So for me, that's 48 grand. Not bad for a little hobby sideliner beekeeper. So. But that's only until I get more land, and then we're gonna make it go. So,
Say, I got to step out here, but it was nice chatting with you guys.
Yes, thank you for stopping in. We appreciate you.
And keep in touch.
Oh, well, for sure. Thank you so much for stopping.
Sorry, someone just come in the door here, but I got to go. But I'll see you guys later.
All right, thank you, Ian.
Okay, see you guys.
All right, bye. Well, how was that? That was nice. I enjoyed that. When I say he gets asked the same questions over and over again, I'm sure, he does the same talks, right? So if you want to know his talks or everything, I wanted to really learn more about him as a person, just hang out and, hey, why you do this? And, keep it casual like we do. And Ian's great. So, we've been fortunate for having small channels, guys. We've been fortunate to have Ian, Ed, Bruce's Bees, Greg, Randy, Yappy. I guess we could technically say we had JP on, but he wasn't on by face, just by the phone. So, it's been pretty good. And, definitely we'll happily throw the link out there if anybody wants to come in and rehash the stuff. Let me see. I copied it in my clipboard. Are you already copied and pasting?
Yep.
Man, you're so good. I need to give you a raise.
Free 99.
Free 99, baby.
You still got a window at the bottom there too.
Oh, do I? Is it still sharing? That'd have been something if that screen would have been up the whole time and nobody would have saw any of that.
I'm watching everything here.
All right. We are live, right? We made sure of that one this time.
We are this time.
That's funny. All right, I'll stop sharing that. I thought it was you because sometimes you put them up there.
Yeah.
We had
Brian.
We had Brian. We've had Hillbilly Beekeeper. We've had
Rich.
Time is Honey. We've had
Mike.
Cajun Homestead. We've had we've had so many people.
Mike at Coon Lake, Houston. We had a bunch. I'm trying to keep a database list of everybody here. Hey, speak of the devil. There's Mike there.
Brian, we've had Hillbilly Beekeeper. We got a loop from Mike.
We got a loop there, Mike.
Okay, got me there?
Yeah.
I think I shut everything down.
What's happening? What kind of hat is that?
What's that?
What kind of hat is that you have on? I thought it was Clemson Tiger hat. I was about to disconnect you. I'm just kidding.
No, it's the Mount McKinley hat. I was up in Alaska in 2006 at the mountain.
Okay. So how you doing tonight?
Not too bad. Thank you so much for throwing that one question to Ian about that. I had posted the same question to Fred Dunn about the massive commercial losses of hives in Pennsylvania.
But Fred doesn't have hives like that, does he?
Something I had not thought of was the perfect storm.
The what? You cut out a little bit.
My leg in here.
Yeah,
sorry.
Lagging and freezing a little bit.
Crap. That again.
You got to turn that porn channel off. You got running in the background there.
Oh, that ain't happening here. None of that.
You're not turning it off, or it's not on there to begin with.
Yeah, exactly. No, but so we had in a couple of the bee yards around here 80% losses. That was it. And now that I think about it, the losses were heaviest where they weren't around the forests, where you get the natural moisture. So you had a little bit of a flow from the ground flowers in the forest humid, bubble. And so that's really interesting that you should say that, because I was kind of taking the whole thing up. I was really wondering how much how many of those guys use Apivar up there? Because I know there's a big problem with the inconsistency of that. So
I know they have different regulations up in Canada than what they can use here, I think.
Well, from what I've seen of the guys up there, and there's only 2 commercial beekeepers I follow up there. There's Phil, the bee man or whatever, and then Ian, and they're all using their Apivar and oxalic. Now, Phil was screwing around with several different treatments, but getting that late bloom, and man, I would not want to winter my bees on that canola. He's looking underneath those hives in the shed, and you see all those doggone crystals that are, the bees are kicking out the canola. So you know what I'm talking about, Lee.
Yeah, he said that canola honey, it'll crystallize really fast.
Yeah, I was amazed at how much, though. Just I don't know, just really crazy. So great interview, guys. Bob, I really appreciate you asking about his person thing there. And man, Ian is never going to get tired of telling the about the waggle dance.
Oh, I'm going to use it. I'm not,
Oh, we all should.
I think it'll be pretty much, it'll be something that sticks with them. And I know that before I get there that they've already learned about bees, somewhat, whatever the school book tells them. So last year I had like a bunch of questions. Oh, we got someone else down in the waiting room too.
Yeah, William down
great.
here.
Hey, William.
William.
How's it going?
Going good.
Not bad. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good.
You in town tonight?
I am, yeah.
You sporting a mohawk?
I don't know if it's a mohawk. It's just kind of.
It looks kind of like a mohawk.
It's
I
close
guess.
enough.
Party in the
It's short on
front,
the sides.
or business in the front, party in the back.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a mess everywhere. My hair's kind of wild, and when it gets long on the sides, I look kind of like a clown. So I don't know if this is much better, but it's different anyway.
I tightened mine up for our guest, and we really didn't know until about 10 minutes before. It was about 10, 15 minutes before that he said, "Yeah, I can stop in for about 20 minutes," and he stayed an hour. So, I said, "Yeah, 20 minutes," but most people can't cut it off once we get talking about it, about the bees.
Oh, yeah.
You got a nice brew tonight, or drinking water out of a beer mug?
Oh, man, this is my own hand-pounded well water.
Oh, nice. So yeah, it's been crazy this week here. What have you guys been up against? Challenges, or what's happening for you guys in your bee yards?
Well, William was checking out in his mom's hive. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What happened with that?
Well, she just got into beekeeping last season, and she got a nuke, and they went into winter pretty good, but I don't think she had enough feed on them. And she thought they had died out. She had called me and said, "Hey, my bees aren't flying, or yours flying." I'm like, "Yeah, mine are flying." Of course, mine fly at like half of mine will fly at like mid-40s, but it was in the 50s, and her bees still weren't flying. So she thought they had died out. And she was actually going to pull the equipment and take it inside so the wax moths wouldn't get to it. And when she opened it up, she said there was just a real small cluster of bees, about the size of a baseball, but they were moving. I said, "You're sure they're moving? They're not." Because, sometimes when they die out, they'll,
die in a cluster.
Yeah, in a little small cluster there at the end. She said, "No, they're moving." And when she was checking them, it was mid-40s or so. And so I said, "Well, close them up. Maybe they'll be fine." And sure enough, they're still alive. Now they're pretty small, but they had at least two frames of brood. Not a huge brood pattern, but not a bad brood pattern either. and that's a queen from last year, so it's not a super old queen or anything. So I don't know. I was surprised they made it. She had another colony that did die during the winter, so she came and helped me do a cutout, and I gave her the colony, and they didn't make it, and I actually did an autopsy on them, and they just starved to death.
The
other colony.
There was no resources in that starved out colony. You might have been able to hand off to the little cluster.
There was none. They straight up starved. Yeah, we didn't have a fall flow over here, and she wasn't as aggressive with feeding her. I don't even know if she fed at all. I mean, I tell her kind of what to do. You know what I mean? Some of it she does, some of it she doesn't, which is fine. They just starved out.
So she's got this little cluster. When y'all just gonna let it keep going the way it is, or are you gonna try to give it some brood, or what are you trying to do with it? You know?
Well, I mean, I say so. There's about 3.5 frames of bees in there now, so they're gonna pull through. They're gonna be fine. She's not gonna make any honey, but I'm hoping I can help her grow them out enough to split them and just feed them pretty heavy in the summer, so that she's going into winter with at least 2 colonies to increase her odds. You know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah, I think, the thing with cutouts is you never really know the genetics of the bees, and I think that other colony that she had, they kept brooding too late into the fall and just consumed all their resources. Because they had plenty of resources going into the winter, it seemed like to me, both of them. But they ate them up. They ate all their resources up. Now, the colony that survived, they had about they had 2 frames that still had a decent amount of nectar and some capped honey on them when I was in there over Easter. But I don't know how much of that the open cells were stuff that they put in there recently, or whether they just uncapped it and had it from last year.
Right.
The area where she's at is pretty wooded, so I don't know about the diversity that she has as compared to where I'm living now. But I mean, I kept bees out there before I bought my place for a year, so they'll make it out there. They'll do fine. I just don't think she has as good as a fall flow as some people, because there's not. Well, we didn't have a good fall flow anyway last year, but there's just less goldenrod and stuff like that out there where she lives compared to somewhere where there's a little bit more diversity other than just acres of oaks.
Right.
So basically everything within a 2-mile radius of where they are is just basically oak.
I think this year I'm going to be getting tested if I've got too many colonies for one location, right where I'm at.
I was wondering about that, Bob, because you're starting to get quite a menagerie there. Well,
yeah.
I mean that with all due respect, because I absolutely love it. But
the thing is, I think my nearest beekeeper for me is my mentor, like 3 miles away. So everything in this 3-mile radius around me, my bees should be tending to at some point. So hopefully they have enough. A lot of it is straight woods. But there are subdivisions around me, so it just depends, We'll see. We'll know this year if I need to start moving colonies. But it's funny because I've got strong colonies that really aren't putting that much nectar away yet, and then I've got like that monster colony that's been queenless forever, and it's almost filled up a whole medium super, and it doesn't have a queen or nothing. They're just stacking pollen and honey in there. So it's kind of weird, And now I've got these new nukes that I put in, and I had 3 that have been in the box for 8 days, and then I had the ones that I just put in yesterday. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see what happens. And I saw somebody's comment earlier about, when I have to do my late season splits, I guess I'll be selling some nukes late season nukes. If anybody needs some in my area, hit me up. We'll arrange something.
No, Lee, I can't remember. Do you have all your bees in one area? You've got some over to your brother-in-law's or something, don't you?
No, I've got 3
Or I'm
yards
thinking of
right now. I
somebody
just
else.
set up my 4th yard, but the 4th one hadn't got bees in it yet. I'm hoping this weekend or next dose of bees will be in.
Well, I hope
Then
you
I'll
get
have
nukes like
4.
I got yesterday.
Well, last time I got nukes from the apiary
Okay.
up the road from me, they come pretty full. You get 1 frame of feed, 1 frame of I just lost track there. Frame of food, and then pretty much 4 frames of captive
Brood.
brood,
Hey,
and
William.
5 full frames of
Wow.
egg.
William, you know that picture that I posted last week of
Oh,
the
that's nice
swarm
and
on the
heavy.
nuke? That's one of the nukes that I bought. Was
Yeah.
The lady didn't know that when I went there, but when she said, "Well, just pick out the ones you want," I said, "I'll take those 5 right there." And I know that line had that box, that had the swarm on it, but it was full when we cracked it up last week. So I knew, like, if it didn't swarm, it's getting ready to. So let me see. Why don't you put eggs in your queen? Oh, Silver Gorilla, I've done it. I've put eggs. I've put queen cells. I've put everything in there, and they just refuse. I don't know. So that colony,
At that point,
it's got queen cells in it right now. I'm going to give it enough time for those queen cells to hatch. If they don't hatch or they don't take it, it's getting merged with another colony. That's what's going to happen. I'm going to put it on another weak colony. I'm going to do a paper combine. I'm going to drop all those bees in it. And hey, then I'll just free up a 10 framer for somebody else.
right. So
Or
you're
at
looking
least-
at the checking them out at the what would that be? The first week of May to see if they've returned anything.
Well, I did something. I was going through those nukes today and removing queen cells. A couple of the queen cells came right off and didn't break open. So I actually took 2 of those queen cells and took them because bees were still staying clustered on them, even though they weren't on the frame. And I took them to that colony because they look like they're getting ready to hatch. And I just pushed them into the brood frame. And
yeah.
And now
I've done that
we'll see
before.
if those hatch out. And Rhonda, you missed it all. But welcome.
That's good.
She's here to see Mike.
What?
She's here to see Mike.
Yeah, she waited till Ian got off because she was wanting to see Mike.
She wanted to see Mike come on.
Yeah. Welcome to the cat show.
Well, hey, Silver Gorilla, to give you the backstory of that colony, it was a super pissy hive.
Oh, is that the nasty one?
Yeah, that was the really nasty hive. That's why I called it the monster hive.
Oh, I
And
remember.
it was
now.
and I broke it down and I made a early split with it to try to demoralize the colony and move that queen to a nuke so she could make bees, right?
Yeah.
And then the split ended up getting robbed out or died out, and the damn remaining bees they'll make queen cells, but then they'll either tear them down or they'll kill the queen once she hatches out. I don't know what the hell's going on.
Yeah, I had a nasty hive that last year, and when you got a hive that big and it goes queenless, sometimes they just go mean. It's not genetics; they're just queenless, and so they just go apoplectic. And I can't remember how I finally got that one to take last year. There was one I was just screwing around with just because it was impossible. I put queens in there in cages. I put the cells in and whatnot, and I don't remember exactly how I figured that one out. But yeah,
now
they can,
I didn't put one of those new mated queens in there because I knew their track record of killing stuff, right? So I wasn't going to put $30 in there. I'll put a $5 sell in. And see if that plays out. But if not, that's all part of the game, right? I mean, figuring it out. It's like a big chess game all the time.
Come to think of it, I think I actually split that one up. I cut it size in half and distributed over 2 nukes and then left the original in place. And then they were much weaker, and then for whatever reason they accepted a queen cell. I'm vague on that.
So right now it's got 1 frame of brood in there with queen cells and a bunch of random bees that have been in there from other frames that I've put in there that have hatched out. So we'll see what happens. Worst case scenario, I just make merge them in with another colony that make them a little bit stronger and let it go. I mean, how long are they going to live? 45 days this time of year. So it's like,
yeah.
But I'm not going to keep robbing from other colonies anymore. I've wasted enough resources.
That's me. I'll give them 1 or 2 chances, give a few resources, but once that nectar starts coming in a little bit, they're kind of on their own. If they don't make it, I'm not going to weaken my production hives.
Yeah, shake them out and run.
Yeah, that's what I did originally. I broke it down to a nuke, but I did it at the wrong time of the year, right? It's a little bit too early. And then we got a cold snap, and then they got robbed out. So it was just like a mess. But I did start using some of those baggy feeders this week on the nukes, and they seem
I did that for the first time this year. Yeah.
And they seem to be doing all right with that,
Yeah.
And all of my nukes got peppermint pollen patty, the new ones and the old one. Well, the old ones from a week ago, one of them had already eaten it all. It was all gone. No beetles, no larvae, gone. The other ones are taking a little bit slower, but they're a little bit bigger and have a little bit more foragers, so makes sense.
That doggone one lid that you popped up, one of the candies was stuck to the lid, and you go to peel it up, and it's like 60% of it is gone, but it's stuck to the lid, and there's bees all over that little piece of candy.
It's pretty amazing. I mean, I would have never done it, but I'm going to ride the storm.
I don't have hive beetles here, gentlemen. I mean, the only way that but I'm tempted to throw in some peppermint candies just to see what they do.
I'm sure they'll eat it.
I saw 3 or 4 hive beetle in one of my colonies the other day, so I might be just about ready to try the peppermints out. I've been waiting to see if I didn't want to put them in without hive beetles because I wanted to wait till I had hive beetles so that I could see if it ran them off,
Well, that's kind of why I had to stop the experiment. I can't prove that it's running the hive beetles out if I don't have hive beetles in there anymore. So,
that makes perfect sense. So a grand thing.
LaGrange, you'll be able to.
So what do you guys got going on this week? Oh, sorry to interrupt.
Oh, no. Well, tomorrow I've got to film day 28 of the Demaray split. So we're going to go check that out tomorrow. I checked all my colonies pretty much today, added supers. That nuke that I showed up earlier, I put 2 supers on it today. The one I just put in yesterday, I put 2 supers on it because it's got 4 solid frames of brood, both sides, all 10 frames covered with bees. And it's dark brood, right? So it's not like new brood with white cappings on it. They're dark. They're hatching. So they're going to be exploding in there. So just trying to stay ahead of them and try to keep them from swarming. Yeah. So, I mean, pretty much all my colonies have it. All of the strong ones have at least 1 honey super on them. And let them get to work because I don't want the honey flow to start and not have that super on there, right? I'll give them the extra space and let them work into it as they need it, and then once it starts, it'll be easy to tell. Oh shit, they're drawing out this foundation and storing it. It's time to put another box on and another box. So just trying to stay ahead of them. But I'm out of equipment. I just bought all of that equipment. And I'm down to like 12 deep boxes now of that wall, right? I've only got 12 deep boxes on there. I still have all my honey supers, but my deeps and bottom boards and lids, I'm sucking wind on that now. So much for that. Not going to buy any more bee equipment shit I was talking the other night. That's out of the window.
If it comes down to it, you can try to get some bottom boards and top covers and just use mediums for any splits you had to do.
That's one way to get some drawn out comb, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just shake the bees in and pull a couple.
So I've got a question for you guys. Where are you putting all your honey supers? Where are you guys storing them?
You see my wall outside, right? Right now, that's it.
I have, but I'm still.
Well, mine's a work in progress because I didn't have that many honey supers to worry about storing last year. Most of mine, I was doing deep frames, right? So that was pretty much what I was doing last year. But I might do the Mike Berry method where you just set them up to where the sun's on them and they're not appealing to get into, or I might have to haul them all into my honey house and put them on a pallet with some moth crystals under them.
Paramoth.
Yeah, the paramoth, and try to keep it that way. So
That's what I do. I have an old single wide trailer next to me, and that's my storage. And I keep everything stacked up in there with paramoth on it.
Okay. And how about you, William?
I've got mine right now. What little I've got is stacked inside of my shop, and I built a like a little kind of a loft over my turkey pen in my barn, thinking that next year when I get more comb that I've got to store, I'd put them up there. But then there's so much dust in the barn, so I'm not sure what I'm going to do about that. I don't know if I'm going to try to do plastic, but then the mice will chew all through it. So I'm kind of still trying to figure out what I'm going to do. I've got a couple Connex boxes, so I may have to put them in the Connex boxes and use some sort of deterrent like Lee was talking about inside of Connex boxes, because they're obviously perfectly dark in there.
you know that Bush Bee Man? Have you ever seen him on YouTube? The Bush Bee Man.
Yeah, I don't really watch them regularly, but I've seen a few videos.
He uses a Connex box for his whole honey house. That's what he processes all his honey in. He's got all of his gear in there, and
Nice.
Yeah, the apiary up the road from me.
Yeah, shipping container.
Yeah. The apiary up the road from me, that's where they store all their supers and deeps or whatever they're not using in Connex and put paramoth on it.
Yeah, I've got 2 shipping containers because I sold my house when I lived in Arkansas and stayed out at my parents' place in a trailer for a little while I was looking for the right property. And so all of our furniture and everything went in those. And I'm still living in a RV actually, but I've got my property now. So a lot of that stuff has come out of those Connex boxes into my shop and everything.
So
I'm working on the house. The house is a bit of a fixer upper.
Hey,
well,
I live in a fixer upper.
One thing that you can do, William, if you want to keep them out of your boxes, is the metal queen excluders. I have those on the tops of all my stacks, and the mice will never work through there. They can chew through the wood, but I'm also using a ceramic paint, and the mice don't like to chew on that. But as far as just in your situation, yeah, put the metal queen excluders on the doggone tops. If the mice can chew through those, run away.
All right, so while we've got 40 people roughly watching right now, with a thumbs up, I don't want a thumbs down, but in the chat box, the live chat, keep the Ratmageddon series going or turn it off. Do you like it or don't like it? It's not beekeeping, but it is kind of homestead farming related, right?
Oh, it's funny. It's great eye candy. Keep it going for me.
Yeah, you gotta
By
break
the way,
it up
my
a little
offer
bit every now and then.
stands. I can lend you a couple of my mousers.
Oh man, those things. The one from last night, they were everywhere. Matter of fact, they've somehow. Okay, this house was built in 1960. They didn't use sheetrock in 1960. They used a metal lattice that they just nailed to the studs, and then they just plastered right over top of it.
Yeah, the plasterboard metal mesh. Yeah.
So that right here, they can't get into our house area, but they've gotten into the attic from the crawl space. So I don't hear them right now. I was laughing with Lee because I was killing the shit out of them. earlier. I got one of these boxes and took the plastic off of it, right, from my Monster Energy drinks, and I poured a bunch of those Tomcat rat poison blocks, and they love them. They love them all the way till their death. And you could hear them run and grab one and run back to where they were, and you could hear the block like bouncing around like a cat playing with a toy, and then you would hear eat, and then they were gone. So tomorrow I'm gonna have to crawl up there and decorpse the attic.
Yeah, that's the one thing I don't like about that poison at all. Is that first of all, after you kill the rats, you need to throw their bodies in the garbage can or burn pit and take them out there.
Right.
But the other part is, like you were in your pump house there, and you had all this stuff on the floor, and that one dead rat that was right at the door entryway. I guarantee there's some other dead rats in there. And when those things start to rot,
stink. Bad.
Yeah, that can get really, really nasty.
Well, when I opened that pump house door and you see all that crap in there, that was tools and stuff that I moved out of the honey house. So I moved them in there
I was wondering.
to get all the crap off the porch that had the rats in it, and now they're just everywhere. So I did level up my bucket, my sunflower bucket, with the water in it tonight. I took some peanut butter and smeared it about 4 or 5 inches down, so any critter would have to lean way over to try to get the peanut butter and take the bath.
So, have you ever seen the spinning can over the bucket of water trick?
Yeah, I've seen that on watching YouTube videos.
Yeah, the guys up here used to do that in their deer stands all the time because the mice would get up there in the summer and chew the crap out of the deer stand. The guys go up there and fall to their, keisters. And I've never seen anybody do rats, but just a thought.
Hey, Michael, what part of South Carolina are you in? Because I'm in Hopkins, right outside of Columbia.
Well, guys, I've got to run. I've got a hockey game in about 45 minutes, and so I got to go over there and get all my pads and stuff on. Well, but I'm glad I did get to jump on here for a little bit. I normally don't have very good internet at the house, so I want to jump on and talk, but I know I'm just going to get on there and be cutting out every 5 seconds. So.
No, but thanks for stopping by and keeping us apprised of what you're going on with your house there too.
Yeah.
You
I appreciate everybody who watches the videos. So.
You can do a whole series on that.
I may show a little bit of the inside, kind of what's going on. It's the bones are good, but I got to do everything else. So there's a lot that has to happen on that. But I got some videos coming out here pretty soon. I just got to edit them. I'm terrible at editing videos, especially now that I'm trying to record the sound on a separate device.
Knows how to do that.
Oh my gosh, man! I tried to I downloaded DaVinci, but then my computer won't run it, and then I can't get stuff from my iPhone over to I don't know. I got all kinds of problems in the editing department, but I'm working on it. But
well, hang in there. That'll be a pain.
I definitely can't stand how bad the sound has been without the external mic. So I'm gonna figure out how to use it one way or another. It'll just take me a little bit of time to get used to it. But I caught 2 swarms the other day that were cast from my mating nukes. So I've got some footage from that.
Oh, great.
And
by the way, you can't leave without telling us what position you play. I'm from Minnesota.
I play left. Yeah, I play left wing. I play forward.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, good luck with that. Some other people are wishing you good luck.
Yep.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys. Thanks a lot. So,
okay.
Yeah, I was actually born in Pennsylvania. We moved to Oklahoma when I was fairly young, but my dad grew up playing hockey all his life and stuff. So that's kind of where that came from, anyway. So
that's wonderful.
But hopefully, I'll be on again soon, sometime when I'm still in town and you guys are on, and we'll chat again.
Don't get into any fights tonight.
I try not to. We're not allowed to since it's recreational. So.
Oh, okay.
As long as we keep our gloves on, you know what I mean? We won't get kicked out forever or anything like that. So, but we try to.
Well, I guess you can bring your smoker with.
Yeah, just give them a little puff, try to calm them down a little bit.
But you gotta love the hockey games because it's like a boxing match in a hockey a hockey game breaks out in the middle of it.
Yeah,
Those are like great games.
those guys fight for real too, though. They're pretty crazy. So.
Oh yeah, yeah. You can always tell one of the old school hockey players because they have flat knuckles.
It's crazy how they with their
It's
helmets
like an
on.
old
and everything.
karateka.
Just
Yeah.
going to town.
Pretty wild. And if you've never been to a hockey game with like real hockey players in real life, it's different than on TV. Those guys, the way they skate is difficult to describe unless you've seen it in person. It doesn't look natural. It's like, how in the world are you moving like that on something so slippery? But right, I gotta go, or I'm gonna be late getting out there. So,
All right,
Take
William.
care.
Thanks for
God
stopping
bless.
in, brother.
hey, guys, I appreciate it.
All right.
Okay.
Good luck
Good
and
night.
come back anytime.
All right, thanks.
All
So
right.
meanwhile, back at the ranch.
Back at the Rat Ranch. I need to make a channel, Walker's Rat Ranch.
Oh no. No, the ducks will be jealous.
I know. I try to show everything. I did a whole video on me going through those nukes today, and probably 3/4 of the way my GoPro shut off, and I just gave up on it. I was like, I just need to get this work done, which is bad for YouTube and good for my bees, I guess. It's not taking me as long.
Well, you
No,
did
I
a
need
really
to get out in
good
the yard and do a
assembly
little
line job,
recording.
though. I'm sorry, what, Lee?
Oh, I was saying, I know I need to get out in my yards and do some recording. The last 2 times I've been out there, I ain't brought the camera with me. It's been right at dark.
Yeah, and it's kind of pointless for me to go out right now. You know, I did tip the lid of a couple of them just to look, but it's just been so damn cold. And I think we're only going to have so far 2 days of in the upper 60s for the entire month. So
It only got in the mid 60s here today. It got cold last night.
did you?
Yeah, well, cold for here, you know. When I go outside to do a rat video and you can see my breath, that's cold.
Oh, I just figured you were smoking.
No, that was the breath for sure. Might have been old smoke out of my lungs, just kind of sitting around there.
It got down to about 51 here last night. I think we got to 72 today, and that was about warm as it got for us.
But
Okay.
starting tomorrow, it's starting on the upward trend again. So we'll be tomorrow. It's supposed to be in 70s, and then Thursday high 70s, and Friday on out is in the 80s that I can see on my 10-day.
Yeah, we got mid 80s the rest of the week.
Yeah,
And
we
sun.
might get interesting on Saturday because we're supposed to be in the low 70s. If that's the case, then we're actually going to get we might get some really interesting thunderstorms here. But, you know, even then extending after that, it's going to be like another 6 to 5 days, somewhere in there before we even back to 50. So it's
Up and
this
down.
is getting crazy. I'm just tired of it.
Let's see.
You know, for a Minnesotan to complain about winter, I feel a little bit like a sissy. But hey, guys, I was driving to the wood mill today, and I'm going along the lake, and the doggone lake shore started to refreeze. There was ice out 50 feet. It went away, you know, by noon, but you know, it just I don't know.
Weather doesn't know what it wants to do, huh?
Yeah, pretty much. You know, in like a lamb, out like a lion. There's a lot of truth to that.
Well, leave it to Mother Nature to be a bipolar bitch, you know.
Yeah, pretty much. The only thing that I've got going on here for beekeeping right now is that I just finished ordering 10 nukes from Wisconsin. They're not going to be here until May, but I think next week we're going to pull all the wood out of the kiln and start building a crap load of supers. And if Tex is listening, we've got the same Porter cable dub joint critter thing going on. But we're going to be doing probably 50 supers. So I got to figure out, I got to make a standing jig to keep those things true. He's got the wonderful corner clamps on his. I can't do that with 50 boxes. So, but it was really neat to watch how tight those Porter cable things are. If you guys ever want to build a bunch of supers, the Porter cable jig assembly, though, that's a piece of equipment. That's pricey, but
Right.
It works. It's tight. You know, he's putting together without even nails, you know, just a little bit of step glue in there. So just a thought. Anyways,
Then I'll have to. I'll get sawdust all in my honey house. Then I need another outbuilding or another piece of land somewhere.
Yeah. If I didn't have the mill in a different location, you'd already be up to my. We're actually selling sawdust today.
Oh, really? I would have. I need some. I need sawdust for my kitchen floor. So I did a very inexpensive floor with privacy fence boards in this old house, and just squared them up on the ends and ran them. So I got 1/2-inch thick wood floors in the kitchen, but they weren't. I didn't use a planer, so there's some gaps in there. So if you mix the sawdust and wood glue, and it basically like a wood grout that goes in between them.
I see where you're going with that. Yeah, up in like in Northeast United States, actually do a ship kinker. What they'll do is just take hemp rope and shove it down in there with some glue.
Look here, man. We got 2 new guests.
We got Hard Luck Survival and DP.
Oh, Hard Luck.
Semper Fi.
Semper Fi. How are you?
Yeah, a couple vets here.
Good. I'm a squid, so we gave you guys a ride everywhere.
I'm a seagull and bellhop.
How are you gentlemen doing tonight?
We're doing great. I came on you guys' live just to tell you guys are awesome.
Well, we appreciate it. We're small channels, so not a lot of people know about us yet, but we're trying to do everything we can.
We'll throw you in our community.
I appreciate it.
I'll give you a little bit of brief of who we are or what I am. I'm a retired Marine, 26 years. Got all my fingers and toes. I consider myself quite fortunate. When I sat down here, what we do on our show is a little different. We show how to prep, we show how to winter survival, and we're going to be doing this soon. I had a horse roll over on me last year.
No.
Oh, yeah.
That'll get your attention.
They woke me up. Stopped the survival part of the show for a while. But, I'm amazed. And we're going to try beekeeping because my horse riding days are over.
You're just starting beekeeping, or you've been beekeeping for a while?
No, I'm going to get into it. I'm researching it, and that's what I'm going to do. I weed a lot of honey, and I'm kind of going to learn. I don't know anything about it, but I've learned a lot tonight from y'all, and I feel good about that. I can raise beef, I can raise chickens, I can raise a garden, but I think now we'll just do the safer route for me and do the bees.
What part of the States are you in?
I live in Arizona, but I'm moving up to New Mexico.
Okay.
And I've got a good area of wildflowers and stuff like that, and they grow all throughout the summer here in the desert.
Do they have any problem with the Africanized bees in that area?
I do not know. I won't even lie to you. I don't know.
Well, wait, Rob. Are you in some elevation, though, in Arizona where you are now? What's your elevation?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm at about 6,200.
See, that's what I was really wondering about. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense then.
No, if I was lower elevation, I would consider it.
No. DP, where are you?
I'm in Livingston, Texas, 150 feet elevation.
You just above Houston area then.
And that's not his elevation. That's the number of floor on the dance hall.
Oh, check this out. So LaGrange Bees, you jumped in too, huh? I'm getting that 30 frame license tomorrow just to get prepared. Will I have to unbox it to get it through the door? You will have to unbox it for sure, because it's going to come on a pallet with a crate around it.
You may have to find your door.
I had to take my whole damn door off. Do what? What'd you say,
You
DP?
can build bee-box. Great.
Oh, you can. For sure. It's nice wood. So yeah, I had to take my whole door frame out. It says it's 32 on the website. It says it's 32 inches in diameter. Yeah, bullshit. It's not. It's 34 inches in diameter. So you're not fitting it through a 32-inch door without taking the door frame out. So if you got a 36-inch door, you might be able to get it in. Just
I
if you have
gotta
help.
ask a stupid question here. Why are you trying to bring it in the house?
Well, the honey house, which mine was a back porch that I enclosed, right? So if you're bringing it in the house,
like a 30 frame or
30 frame extractor. So that's the same extractor I have. So
I'm sorry. I was thinking the horizontal hive. I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
Yeah, we're talking about the licensed extractor.
yeah, the licensed extractor. So the 30 frames, though, the problem is if you're doing it in your house, you're going to be taking boxes of honey that are possibly dripping and everything else, right? So that's where the pain in the butt would come from on that, I think. But yeah, it's a nice. I'll be glad to finally spin some honey out in it. But it's a nice piece of equipment from me spinning it on my porch.
Yeah, they're silk smooth, and I wanted to get the Maxent, but the problem was with the Maxent is a plus two. It was made out of a heavier metal, But if you're careful with the equipment, it's not, the license is not that big of a deal. Plus, I just have the 20 frame because I don't think I'm ever going to spin more than 600 frames. But I can pick it up and move it by myself,
Right.
And the Maxent, that got a little bit heavier, and I just didn't want to deal with that. So that's just my 2 cents on it. But that thing is just, I love those doggone extractors. They're bulletproof. Design.
Yeah, I got the 20 frame data ant. You can move it by yourself, but it's quite a job.
Well,
okay.
What's the biggest drawback of the date ant for you, Lee?
I don't like how the valve comes out the side.
Having to tip it to get the remaining honey out.
But either this year, sometime this year, it may be winter. I'm gonna have a local guy that does stainless steel kitchen work, put the valve coming out the bottom of it for me.
Oh, grand.
So
as long as you can get a bucket underneath it or something.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, guys. Speaking of sawdust, I've been coughing that up all day here.
Well, the good thing about the license is where they put the outlet. I mean, it's conical base, right? So all the honey runs down, and then the valve, the outlet is right at the bottom, so you don't have to tip it to get the honey out.
No, and that works out really good. And as long as you tip the doggone thing, this is going to be a problem. Well, I don't know where LaGrange is going to put his stuff.
He's building a honey house, but he's got to store it inside in the meantime.
Yeah. So for me, I just scoop every last bit of honey out of there, and I literally open the doors to my shop, and I let the bees clean it all. And otherwise, if you're going to try and rustle it outside to let them clean it.
Well, I was doing that with my 8-frame extractor, but I'm not going to do that. I can't do it. I can't even get it out of the damn building now. They'll have to burn the whole house down to get it out.
Get that 4-foot door put in, huh?
See, that's that military engineering right there. That's
Absolutely.
how we do things. It's only got to get in. We never have to take it back out.
Never. Never.
Well,
great.
The first part done, right?
Hey,
that's
we
all that matters.
Just need to get it in. We'll worry about getting it out later at a later date.
Absolutely.
Well, the problem is it's 34 inches wide. So on my 36-inch door, I would have had to take it in that enters into my kitchen. When the door's all the way open, it's up against the wall. So, with the hinge and the door sticking out there.
Yeah, thanks. There you go.
With the door and the hinge, it sticks out further than 2 inches. So you can't get it through because the door wouldn't open up all the way. So I'd had to take the door off anyway. And it had just been a pain in the ass. And then I would have had to bring it all the way through the house, through the living room, through the French doors. So if I ever have to take it out, that's when the pain in the ass will come. When I have to.
Yeah, but you don't worry about that till you have to take it out.
Right.
Right.
We don't have no forethought. We don't have to worry about
No
that.
worries.
Just get the honey. That's it.
Just get the honey, get that money.
So, Lee, where did you get your dating from?
The Datant website.
You did, okay.
I'm not happy with them right now.
Sometimes they take a little while on their shipping. Sometimes they're quick. It's kind of a toss of coin. You never know.
I ordered 5 rolls of. That
one.
This goes back to my. This goes back to my whole American made versus European made. Hey, trust me, I'm patriot through and through. I'm a veteran, 16 years, basically Navy, Naval Reserve. You can just say as Navy, right? And then National Guard. But I'm patriotic all the way up to the point to where I have to pay double or 50% more for something.
Yeah, DP exactly coin.
It doesn't make any sense. And I brought this up on the last live stream. I wasn't trying to bash Cayman, so I hope nobody ran back and talk shit to Cayman, but that wasn't the intent. But when you hear somebody say, well, if you want things to change, then stop sending them your money and buy somewhere else.
He's absolutely right. Hands down, there's no doubt about it. But
on the other side, he says, this is quality, good American-made product, and, so I'm like, well, what are you selling? Are you selling the American-made, which is 50% more? Are you selling don't send people? I mean, it's the whole capitalist society, right? That's why we have competition. So
absolutely.
What you do is if you don't buy from them and they see, well, these guys are selling it all and they're 50% cheaper, then we have to start dropping our prices or
Kind
being
of supply and demand.
Yeah,
but
competitive.
You got your prices too far, then you can't live.
Right.
Oh, and then you got some really weird stuff going on, like Maxent. They want to sell you I forget one extractor. It would do like 10 frames or 4 frames. I can't remember, but for $500 more, you get a different stainless steel bucket that fit into the exact same spinner that all of a sudden gave you like 10 or 15 frames. I'm like, no,
Right.
Don't screw with me like that. I don't want to do that kind of crap. But Cayman also has a really good. This is a wonderful thing about what he's doing. He has manufacturers getting a hold of him now and saying, well, what are people seeing? So we got that good drive towards American innovation. So, but they got to keep that price point. But, he's driving the push towards excellence.
Right.
And, we'll try and support as best we can. But these bastards have got to figure out how to make the stuff at the right price point to be competitive along with that innovation.
Absolutely.
That's my rant.
Absolutely.
Well, and the thing is, I understand Maxent and Datant for a commercial beekeeper may be the way to go. It's more heavy duty or whatever. But most of the people that I've found that watch YouTube beekeeping channels are sideliners or hobbyists or backyard beekeepers.
Here you got me, right? I'm like not even really an enthusiast, but I'm going to get started. But I'm kind of chicken. I'm only going to do 1 or 2 of those boxes. And
until you get addicted, then you'll have 32 sitting outside of your air conditioning unit on the outside of the house. And
probably. I wanted to say something though. Casey or Earl Dooley, hello, and Coon Lake, Minnesota. That's my home area. I mean, I lived in Waterville. I really didn't live in Waterville. I lived in Elysian on the out. You know what I mean? But Waterville's a lot bigger town, and that's where I was born and raised. And so and I fish Coon Lake a lot. So I just really, really love running into Minnesotans when I'm out and about. And
it's an honor to meet you.
It's an honor to meet you too. And I would like to get a little bit involved in that Hives for
Heroes.
Yeah. And one more thing here on this.
Won't fit, LaGrange. Won't fit. Won't fit, brother.
Experience speaks, right?
Yeah, it won't fit.
Rob, you said you had one more thing.
No, I think I probably said it, but I'm gonna jump out here and let you guys do the chat, but I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna write down all your names.
Oh,
and
sure.
we'll post them in our community.
Well, thank you, Rob.
Appreciate that.
I got 11,000 subscribers. I'm not real big, but
Well, you're
way bigger than I am.
You're 11 times bigger than me, just about 10 times at least.
It don't matter. It ain't about competition.
But we do, that's one of our sayings on this show. If subscriber count does not denote knowledge, right? Everybody starts a YouTube channel.
Amen. Yeah.
So, there's people that have been doing beekeeping 30, 40 years. They don't have YouTube channels. And then when they start, if they do start, then they've only got one maybe or none, so it doesn't mean they don't know what they're talking about. It just means they don't have any followers. Nobody knows about it yet.
But people get to know about you. We'll post in our community and many others. And I'll just tell you right now, I had a great time just watching and sidelining it a little bit. And you guys didn't make me prove that I didn't know anything. I just wanted to come up and tell you I don't know anything.
No,
right?
Hey, we'll let anybody's welcome to come on the show. I mean, that's what it's all about. I mean, there might be something you find from your mentor if you're going through Hives for Heroes or Heroes to Hives that nobody else in YouTube knows about.
Yeah.
And you do it and someone will ask you about it and then you'll be like, oh yeah, well, I take this wax block and that happened to me. I had somebody that's got hundreds of colonies ask me why I kept the wax block in my pocket. It was to rub down plastic foundation when I'm out at the colony, right? And he's like, I never thought about that. I've been keeping bees 25 years, got a couple hundred colonies, and never thought to have a wax block in my pocket to do that.
Oh yeah, just some of the weird stuff that pops out. Peter, the bee whisperer, he wasn't even putting his migratory lids on. He was just doing the pink foam ground insulation stuff, and he cut a hole in that, and he's got his jars in that, so the lids are off to the side. And I looked at that, and I thought, wait a second here, because I was switching over to all buckets this year, so I didn't have any holes in the lids, and I was doing the bags like you were, but I've got all these doggone pink foam. Hey, doggy. So the stuff that people pull out is just magnificent. It really is. So it's just you never know what you're going to run into.
I put wax in deodorant sticks.
Yeah, instead of having just a little block poured in the deodorant.
That's a great idea. I'm going to jump out and let somebody else come up. And thank you guys again so much for having me.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Yeah, anytime. Come on in. We're here every Tuesday night, 8 Eastern, 7 Central, and probably at least one or two more nights a week. Usually, we have one chat we do. It's usually like a no life beekeeper chat. That's what we call it.
Yeah,
we just hang out and talk. And if people have questions, they have questions. And sometimes we just shooting the shit, talking about beer, smoking cigarettes, whatever. Whatever people want to talk about and do it. So
I am. Go ahead.
Hey, good to meet you.
Well, good to meet you.
Yeah.
I didn't hear
you. I said, Nick,
you cut up DP. What you say?
Yeah, my old man was World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. I was not able to join the service, so
I did.
I'm deaf in here.
I did Desert Storm in Afghanistan and Sarajevo, Bosnia. Just a few places.
No big deal. Your service.
Didn't have anything better. I'll tell you something. If I wouldn't have joined the Marines, I probably would have gotten thrown in jail.
I got thrown in jail and then went in the Navy. my last fling before I left to go to boot camp. Got in some trouble down on the university. Little underage intoxication action. And Yeah. So my last week before I left the boot camp, I was in community service to get that expunged from my record. So,
Right.
so it happens to the best of us.
I had a great night tonight, and I enjoyed meeting every one of you. And I'm not really into self promotion, but we're on Arizona time, 6:00 on Thursday through Sunday, and that's the days we do. You know what I mean?
Cool.
If you guys
I gotta
check us out.
It's you and your wife, right, Rob?
It's me, my wife, and my nephew. My nephew plays violin.
Oh, that's who that was.
Well, see, when you start talking honey, you can branch out to not only honey, but then you can look at doing mead and alcohol with the honey, right? So that keeps for forever. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. Lip balm, soap, candles, everything that comes from the bee colony.
And lotions. I guess you can use some beeswax for some sort of lotions.
Yep, lotions.
Yeah, that's what Lee was just holding up there. It's
chapstick.
There you go.
Oh, right on. You guys should sell that stuff online.
I've thought about it. I just hadn't had a chance to do it yet. I go to a local farmer's market every week.
Right on.
Right. And the funny thing is, once people know that you sell honey or that you have honey, at least here, I posted on Facebook to my Facebook group or something like that. I got people showing up in my driveway to buy honey. It just sells out.
And if we can sell it retail, so we're maximizing our profits.
Absolutely.
Right. As long as you don't mind the intrusion on your personal space, I'd rather do that than online. But we got to keep all options open.
Not to mention the man doesn't know how much money you're collecting.
That too.
I was just saying I'd buy some. That was what I was getting at.
Oh, thank you.
So, anyway, like I said, I'm gonna leave it and I'm gonna stay on, but I'm gonna go back to the chat.
All right,
and thank you guys so much for having me tonight. I really enjoyed myself. Glad to meet y'all.
Glad to meet you. Thank you for coming on.
Have a good evening.
We'll check your show out.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
God bless.
DP. What's up, man?
Hey, what's going on?
I see you in the chat a
Oh,
lot recently.
Yeah, I come in and watch you guys. I can tell you probably have 100% of the people who are living in camper trailer for the last year and a half. on your show.
Hey, everybody's welcome, baby. Everybody's welcome. The main thing for us, I mean, there's other live streams out there, but I don't get hung up on what name is coming on or who's coming on, or it's nice we've been able to have some big names like Ian Steppler and people like that on. That's a benefit. But you know what? Hasn't really helped our subscriber count that much. You know what I mean? It's not like they're going to their channels at 100,000 and saying, "Hey, come check this out." We're being over there.
Well, if all you guys out there, whoever's out there, now I didn't keep a count. That's bad for an auditor. But I've gotten quite a few emails from YouTube saying I've gotten quite a few more subscribers, and I only had like 3 or 4 to begin with, and I'm sure I may have tripled that. And I haven't put a video out in almost a year, but I go pick a nuke up this coming weekend from Texas Bee Supply in Dayton.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm getting the one nuke of Cordovans.
Cordovans? Never had them.
Yeah, they're the blonde.
Okay.
They're supposed to be gentler, and although I live kind of in the country, I have a house just next to me. I live in a subdivision that never developed, that was created like 40 years ago.
Yep.
And we have really bad roads.
Scuffy.
And so I'm going to do a video hopefully this coming weekend. And then a month from now, I'm picking up 3 Cordovan queens. So I've got 4 hives right now, 2 that are from packages I just picked up right about a month ago, this Thursday. And I've got 6 frames of brood in both of those.
You're going to be doing some splits.
And I have my, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking to grow it. So I got like 3 pints of honey last year. I put a bunch in the freezer and ended up feeding it back.
Okay.
And so I'm just, this will be my second year.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
And I had 3 colonies going into what y'all call winter, which we don't have here.
Right.
We have summer and not summer. And the hive beetles eat everything in not summer. Yeah, Lee knows what I'm talking about.
Definitely.
Yeah, snow? What is that? What is snow? I've seen snow maybe 5 times in my lifetime.
Oh my!
Here where I live. That stuck to the ground. That includes the last a year ago.
This is actually my 3rd year my 3rd season.
Yeah, it's my 3rd too.
So, and I was in a very similar situation to you going into my 2nd year. So at the end of my 2nd year, I had 15. And then this year I went off the wall crazy, I guess. It went from 15 to 32.
It's fun to watch.
So we'll see. You guys get to see me catching them out of the trees if I got to.
I've got 4 acres about 100 miles north of here, and then access to 30 acres in the same area, and then a house place that's about 3/4 of an acre. So I plan, and it's there's a lot more tallow up there.
Right.
And so I plan on trying to expand up into those properties as bee yards.
Where exactly did you say you was located again?
Lake Livingston.
Lake Livingston, that's right.
You could.
I can almost throw a rock and hit Lake Livingston.
You could do like Mike. Well, you could do like Bruce's Bees does, and he keeps his nukes in his backyard, and he puts his other big production colonies on the other properties, right? So, as to not make his neighbors mad, I would imagine, to have too many bees in his backyard. But then it also gives him control because the nukes are going to be the ones you have to manipulate more often. I would assume.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only cautionary tale I've got here is that if you're going to put them 100 miles away, you want to have them someplace that when it's really hot and heavy, you need to be able to access them once a week, and drive up there and do that. So, and the other thing I was going to throw at you here, DP, is that if you're going to be doing your splits, again, those new queens, I'm assuming that you don't have any drawn comb for the splits. You got fresh
not a
frame.
whole lot. No.
Yeah.
Most of it, huh?
So one word of advice I'll give you for here is that once you make those splits, don't hesitate to put some 1-to-1 sugar syrup on them to feed them, to get them, to draw the comb out. I mean, you want to give them that mix to, and they'll build the comb out a lot faster, and that way you're not, it just helps out a lot. So the feed, by all means do it. And I don't know what you're going to do for feeders, but you'll get that figured out. But yeah, by all means feed them.
About to say, you could do the 1-to-1 or like 3/4 to 1 also.
Thank you, Lee.
Draw out a lot.
Thank you. Yeah, there you go.
And don't forget your peppermints.
Oh yeah, thank you, Bob. I was gonna throw that at him there. You got to get on the Bob and Lee bandwagon here.
That's the hillbilly beekeeping bandwagon.
Yep.
I was joking with these guys, DP, that and actually this is feed the crap out of them. Yeah, great point, Silver. But I was joking with these guys. I was tempted to get a package of bees just so I'd have hive beetles one year, just so I could screw with them.
I'll send you a package full of hive beetles. Just hive beetles. That's it.
No.
and one slimed out comb in the middle of it, just hanging out.
You'll include the slimed up comb. Oh yeah,
Yeah. Well, you got to have the larva with it too. I mean, what's a package?
I'll throw some in a little cage and send them to you, Mike.
Oh, they can go through that though, probably.
Oh man, that's wonderful.
Little duct tape will fix that.
That's what I was trying to get at with Ian. Ian was
hey buddy.
Ian was saying that with the importing of American bees, I'm like, yeah, but what about the guys right on the border? I don't think the bees know where the line is. They're probably flying across there and
yeah.
Taking, and my thought was they're taking the Varroa and everything else they got with them over there too, right? So,
well, as long as they can send it all to Quebec.
Yeah, well, I think it was Tom Seeley when he was giving a lecture on hive beetles, said they can fly 30 miles.
30 miles.
So if he's 30 miles from the border, he's got hive beetles. Unless, and here's the thing, the larvae burrow into. There goes my speaker again. You can probably still hear me.
Yeah,
but I can't hear you. The hive beetle larvae burrow into the ground, but down in Canada, it freezes like 3 feet.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't think they can survive that.
No, they can't. They can't. If I get a package of bees,
doesn't have hive beetles. He's gonna hive, huh?
If I get hive beetles in a package here, they're good for that one summer. That's it. Then they freeze out. So we don't have any. And Ian, there's no way he's never had hive beetles up there. He has the packages, then they're gone the next year. So
well,
that's the same
my
living on the tundra.
Thanks, Rob.
My experience last year, and Lee, see it if you see hard luck. My experience was they got really bad right near the end of November. And I had to reduce the colony down to 5 frames because there's only 3 frames of bees, and they were eating everything alive. And I put frame after frame after frame in the freezer, and I had dead hive beetles. Hallelujah.
Yeah,
all over the bottom of the freezer.
Well, the problem is right about the time, right after the summer solstice, when the bees start to decline, just like when the Varroa start to ramp up, right? When the bees can't manage them as effective. Same thing happens with the hive beetles. The hive beetles at the end of June 22nd is like summer solstice when the days start getting shorter, right? So the bees start scaling their activities back. The brood starts to become less and everything's starting to scale down. But the beetles are going the other way. So
the beetles do that too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The beetles are
Yeah, no, I hear you. I just didn't know that.
So the thing is that you don't have the bees to be able to defend against them as much. So if you don't try to do something to slow them down, and I use everything, right? At least I have. So this year, if I can keep them at the manageable levels they are, then maybe it'll work out this year. We're gonna see.
Yeah, and to Silver Gorilla's point here, if you got the space and if you can do it, freeze that comb. Don't lose that comb. I actually leave my comb outside. I'm not having hive beetles, but drawn comb is gold. But I actually stack it out in my. I have a water fountain back. I put it all out there next to that, and I leave it out there until I've got 24 hours or 2 days, 48 hours of hard freeze, and then it goes in my shop. Freezing out the wax moths in my case.
Right.
But in your case, it's the hive beetles.
Well, we get wax moths here too. So.
Yeah, we'll get wax moths.
Yeah, but I'm thinking of the hive beetles for him. That's where that came in.
Yeah, it's both.
You get both of them down there too in Texas?
Yard. Yeah,
I've seen some of them if they don't have freezing weather outside, they'll take them, put them in a trash bag, and then put it in a deep freezer.
Yeah, I do that. Even if it's got if it gets slimed out, or starting to, where it's got beetle larvae all in it, I'll just throw it in the trash bag, throw it in the freezer, kill all the stuff, and as long as it's not like crazy slimed out, I'll put it back to them, and the bees will clean it out. They'll take everything out of it and clean it up and use it.
So there's a bacterial spray that some people will put on their frames, and I don't know if it affects the hive beetles or just their larvae. And I'm sure somebody in our audience will find that and pop it up. The last guy I saw using it quite a bit was Peter the Bee Whisperer, and he, I think he puts it in a misting bottle or something like that, and then sprays down the comb with it, and it acts as a fungus that kills off the hive beetle larva, or was it wax moth larva? No, for him I think it'd be wax moth. So I don't know if it has something like that for hive beetles too. Do you guys know anything about that?
I'm not sure about that one though.
Yeah.
Zentari, Michael Larimore says Zentari.
Okay, thank you, Mike.
So, yeah, see, that's the good thing about this, man. We're learning stuff, guys.
Amen. Yeah.
Apple cider
Oh,
vinegar.
yeah, the paramoth. Yeah, thank you.
Now, you bought that from a beekeeping supply, or you bought it off of Amazon?
Beekeeping supply, but I can't remember which one.
Because I think I saw somewhere on somebody's channels that it's just I think it's just like moth crystals is the same thing.
It's a little bit different than the regular moth balls. Moth balls has something different in it also. So
right, but I think they make a flake or a crystal or something.
Yeah, that's a crystal form. Basically, I have a stainless steel scoop that I use and put on a paper plate. I stack all my supers up, put a paper plate on top, put one 3/4 cup scoop on it, and then I put a lid. Do not use styrofoam plate.
I think it was Jerome Bee Farm that did that with the flakes, and he said, "Don't buy that; it's too expensive. Buy these; it's the same thing." And
yeah, somebody did a deep dive into that, and this guy does all sorts of bizarre research on that. Say before I forget, dry cut was William was talking about. I told him to put the don't use there's something text. There's something a little bit different on them. I forget what it is. Thank you, but one thing I told William to put the metal queen excluders on to keep the mice out. To keep the wax moth off, I actually take metal bug screen, window screen, and I put that over the boxes. Then I put the metal queen excluder on top of that, and that holds that screening in place. So that's another option you got to once you get your boxes treated like Lee's using there with the paramoth, then you can seal them up that way. And you got to make sure you don't have any cracks or spaces in, because they'll find a way.
Yeah, I think I want to say that Jerome Bee Farm uses duct tape on the seams of the boxes.
Yes.
And
make sure to use the painter's tape and not like T-Rex tape or something like that. I've made that mistake.
And you can't get it off the box, and it leaves a bunch of sticky residue.
Yeah, with a scraper, a blowtorch, maybe a megajoule laser, it will eventually come off. But
right.
Yeah, like I said, when I put the paramoth on, make sure you use like a paper plate or newspaper. Don't use a styrofoam plate. It will melt the styrofoam.
Now, it's funny that we're even talking about this because, and this goes back to the whole having a plan scenario, right?
Yes.
You have to have a plan as a beekeeper. And it took me till the second year to figure that out, because the first year I didn't have a plan. My plan was put bees in a box and make honey, right? That was the plan.
Yeah.
And the plan went south very quick after a couple months, and so now I tried to be proactive, like buying extra equipment and doing all that stuff. So this falls right into that whole scheme where it's not even time to process honey yet, but we're talking about how to store it after we've processed it.
Excellent point, Bob. Absolutely excellent point. I just called up my commercial bee friend on the other side of the lake here this morning, just to ask what he was doing. Because I've been doing this for 9 years, but I like to get feedback from what cycle are you in? But as far as you're talking about planning towards the fall, yeah, get it all in order,
And that's kind of where my whole this season last year, after my first year of debacle, last year was make them make it through the winter. That was the whole focus. Whatever I had to do, however many pounds of sugar I had to feed them, whatever it was, make it through. And then now I'm in a much better situation for honey, for bees, for everything. Doesn't mean it's going to work out that way, but I'm adjusted to the point to where I'm setting myself up for success rather than failure.
Have a plan. Absolutely have a plan.
Well, you know the old saying, right? If you don't have a plan to succeed, you have a plan to fail.
Amen.
So that's kind of taken the whole new I didn't even worry about honey my second year. I didn't harvest my honey till everybody else was like, why are you harvesting your honey now? Because my bees are guaranteed to live at this point. That's when my honey came off. When I knew they needed room to expand the brood box and didn't need that excess honey, that's when I took it. I wasn't up against, hey, I have to take this honey to pay my bills, or, like Ian, that's their whole thing, right? They take the honey because that that makes their whole show go. And that's not our situation most of the time as sideliners and
right.
Things, so.
And to put it in perspective too, somebody was asking Ian why he doesn't do it in doubles. He says, well, number one, it's because we make money. And by pulling his second supers off, so just bringing them down to singles, that's a $50,000 income for him.
Right.
Just by putting it into singles. So
well, just think he needs half the equipment in deeps. I mean, so if you've got 1,500 colonies in double, that's 3,000 colonies in singles.
Yep.
So I don't know. It doesn't take much rocket science if you've got 3,000 colonies making 20 pounds or 1,500 making 40 pounds, it's the same amount. So
I got to ask Bob and Lee here. Did you do any mite treatments? See, I'm in a spring, so that's a different scenario here. But did you do any coming out of winter?
I did. I oxalic acided the shit out of them.
So you both did the OA.
I smoked them.
I done them every 5 days for about 20 days.
Yeah. Okay. Bob was talking about gimmicks as far as equipment. Wish he hadn't gotten. Asking Ian. And I'm small. I have no desire to have more than 20 or 40 hives going at one time. But I love the doubles. I love the double screen board because, when I just did the OA here, I pulled that board out 48 hours later to see if there was any mite drop at all. And, so I was getting an indication there without having, because my cluster is just tiny, so I didn't have to screw around with that. And by the way, guys, if you ever want to try this during the summer, one thing you can do is if you have a double screen board, and I imagine you can do this by, tilting the solid board too, but you can take about a half cup of powdered sugar and sprinkle it down in between the frames. And if you have mites on your bees, they'll clean it off, and you get the mite drop down below. Now, I use diatomaceous earth on the bottom of my boards. I don't use a sticky or, whatever. Well, and so that's just another thing about the double screen boards, but just my 2 cents.
I'm opening myself up for crucifixion. I don't do mite tests. I don't do them.
No, I just
No, and you know something? The only time I do my tests is after the treatment.
Well,
then I'll do spot.
All right, so I'll just give you the Bob Walker 2-cent review on why I don't do it.
Okay. Please.
So the reason to do a mite check in the first place is to see what level the mites are at to begin with.
Yeah.
Does that mean does it matter what the mite level is? Are you going to treat them anyway? Let's say you got 2 colonies side by side and you test one and it's got a high mite count.
Yeah.
And the one next to it doesn't. Are you not going to treat the colony next to it, or are you still going to treat that colony as well?
I would still treat it myself.
Yeah, you're treating them all. It doesn't matter, right?
So what difference does it make if you started with 10 mites and you're down to 2 mites, or because you're going to treat them anyway?
Yeah, it does if you're grafting, because you want to graft from the hive that's got the least mites.
I mean, okay, so I understand that, but my thing is, I don't know. This is my backwoods speaking. I'm not saying it's a right or a wrong thing. I'm not debating what you're doing. Don't misunderstand me.
I'm not giving you any criticism at all. I'm just saying, for instance,
I'm just explaining that if I kill 300 bees and I find out that it's acceptable, then, and I'm not going to treat it because it's acceptable, then I just killed 300 bees. If I shake 300 bees and kill them and it's a 10, I'm going to treat them, right? And I'm also going to treat everything else. So what I was doing my first year, like I said, I didn't pull any honey, right? Is I literally did a prophylactic treatment. Once I did in the fall, I did the 3, once a week for 3 weeks, like they said.
Yeah.
And then every month I hit them once a month just to keep the numbers down.
Yeah.
And so I've lost some colonies, but I can't say that it was from mites or from something else. I can't say that, right? If I am, I'm just speculating why they died out.
Right.
Most people say, they're probably high varroa mite, and they could be right. But, like I found one colony in the spring that had 4 bees in it that I saw that had deformed wing virus in the colony. And I nuked the shit out of them.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, I hit them. I mean, I filled the cap up, nuked them, filled the cap up again, nuked them again, right? And got to the end of doing all my colonies and came back and hit them again. I mean, and they're alive. It didn't kill them. It's still doing good. So my thought was, if I do it on every colony to be effective, to know where every colony was standing, okay, then it's a process. If I'm just spot checking this colony or that colony, and I find that one colony, let's say I check it and it's only got 2, then I assume that, well, then if this one's low, then they're all low. But that's not always the case, right? So I just hit them all and try to keep the mites as low as possible. And if I get a loss, then I suck it up and take the L, But with that being said, I did buy Apivar. So I'm going to try some Apivar in the fall. And I'm also going to hit them with some OA. So we're going to try to double it up and really keep it as low as possible. But no, I don't even own a test kit. Hell, Lee owns one, never used it.
Yeah. I bought the little easy check that you put the alcohol in to shake, and I've never used it.
Okay, this is where I come clean. I don't use the mite check. When I use the doggone thing is when I'm autopsying a hive coming out of winter, and I want to see what the mite load was there. Because again, I do have the screen boards where I can pull out and see drop, and that comes with experience. You get your grid pattern on the thing, you can figure out what your count is. That you can't figure out what your true count is. You absolutely can't using a screen board, but it gives you an indication. And I do the exact same thing. The only thing that I'm really hesitant about is that I would use something like formic or oxalic. If I was going to treat my hives with Apivar, I sure the hell would probably check 1 or 2 of the hives with the mite check, because the Apivar strip quality control has just been crap.
Right.
And you don't know whether you got a good batch or not. We talked about that. Lee, didn't you have a pack, or was it Bob that had 2 years old?
How are they 2 years ago? Because this one expires in October of this year.
Yeah. And I'll give you one other little tip here about
they're good for 2 years, but I just got them.
Right. as far as doing the mic check too, what you can do with those doggone things is you can find a frame of brood in one hive and just scoop, like a tablespoon of bees out of that in the mic check thing, put it back in, go to another one and do that, or shake out a couple frames. And then, you don't have to do a hard 300 bees from one hive to do mic check. You can do multiples. Phil the Bee Man actually made one of those goofy little bee vacs. I think Ian was using it too. Lee saw it. Just doing samples. So you can do that, but I'll tell you what, if you don't know if your mite treatment has been effective or not going into the fall in Minnesota, you're effed. So
Right.
We got to figure that out. And what do we have? Somebody pop up there. Was it DC that got their put their first nuke in on Easter? Congratulations!
Yeah, congratulations
Whoever it
on that. I'll tell you what, I think
There you go.
they're talking about watching, watching videos
Yeah.
for reference, which is absolutely true. But the main thing you need to watch with YouTube videos is the location of the person posting the video.
Yep.
Exactly.
If the person you're watching post the video is doing something and they're in Ohio, let's say you're watching Brian's video and Brian's doing something, but you're in South Carolina, you should have already done that probably a month ago. So
exactly.
you're behind. Even Cayman Reynolds, right? Cayman Reynolds is a few hours north of me.
Yeah.
And if I watch his video and he's out there saying, well, we're doing this and we're doing that, well, I should have already been doing it.
Yep.
So you kind of need to, it's good to watch. You'll learn techniques from all these guys, but you might be able to use them next year, or at a different time. You just have to be kind of in touch with your area.
And then
I would make a.
Go ahead, Lee.
Mike.
No, go ahead, Lee.
I'd make a list in a notebook where you can keep a record throughout the year. Write down the date and what you see blooming at that time. That way, next year comes around, it might be a week, 2-week difference here or there, depending on weather for that winter. But you'll know when your next flow is actually going to start, and you'll know when to start putting supers on or taking off.
Well, I'll tell you what I'm doing is I'm listening to Lee, because Lee is south of me. So if Lee's doing something today, if Lee's south of me and he's doing it today, then probably 2 to 3 weeks after him, it should be about time for me to be doing that.
And one other thing I'd throw at DC here, because Bob is absolutely right. Look at the region. But my strongest word of advice after that is go for the commercial beekeepers that have got decades of experience. Because you run into all sorts of, stuff that, hey, I've got this, like I'm putting linseed oil in with my, gas vaporizer or whatever, and I kill all my mites. Or one that started 2 months ago was like they're using orange peels because somebody in Romania is doing that.
I've heard the orange peels.
Yeah, that was a big discussion there. So the 3 people that I always throw folk to is that Bob Binney, 40 years there, Ian Steppler, and Cayman Reynolds. Between the 3 of them, they've got, I counted out, it's like 130 years of experience. And these are people whose living is dependent on making this stuff, so they're not jumping in on fads. You combine that with what Bob and Lee, your regional stuff, so you know what you got going on there, and then, dear Lord, get yourself a mentor.
Right.
Whatever you do, do your best. Yeah, there you go, DP, because, if nothing else, you can come on here and we will tell you how we killed bees, okay?
Yep, I've done it. You guys have all heard about the decapitation.
Yeah, well, I've got a plan. I got the one of those shakers.
Yeah,
right.
Do the test with. No, I didn't. The nukes I got last year had Apivar strips in them, and I put Apivar strips in beginning of January in the 2 colonies I had.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do the alcohol wash and then the Dawn, because you can use alcohol or Dawn dishwashing.
Right.
Yeah, actually, DP, Dawn Ultimate, believe it or not, there's a difference. I know
That's
that
true.
because I loved washing
You
dishes,
got
and
that right.
it's actually, yeah. So I'm sorry to interrupt. Sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, and then I'm going to do sugar shake, and I'm going to do. I've got my colonies up where I can do all three. Okay, and back in November, December, 300 bees would have been half of what I had in the 2 hives I had left.
Yeah.
So that's not going to happen. I'm not going to sacrifice them, but they're exploding. Like I said, I've got 6 frames in one package and 5 frames in the other of brood.
That's happy.
At the 4-week mark.
Nice.
Okay. And that's mostly capped. So they're not drawing it out fast enough for the queen. And they're not trying to supersede her. So I'm going to do all 3, and I'm going to see what the difference in the results are, because I'm a skeptic.
Okay, DP, I can save you some time there. I can save you some time because Randy Oliver already did all that. And you can get by with actually just using
Where is he? Is he at 30 degrees? Is he at 30 degrees northwest?
It doesn't matter. Actually,
that's the thing that really gets me. Because
actually, that
here,
doesn't. Yeah, DP.
the
That
hive
doesn't
beetles are really bad.
DP, that doesn't make any
But
difference.
the
You're talking about
white
the methodology of doing mite wash, what you're using there, and that's a non-regional thing. And what they found is that someone in the audience is going to jump into this, but just like, for instance, Dawn Ultimate, it has it's called like Surf Red or something like that. It pulls the mites off. Thank you. You do not need to do all 3. Just pick one and go with it. I know at one point that he was screwing around with just using alcohol along with Dawn Ultimate. And I believe in the end he found out that Dawn Ultimate works just fine. If you do your powdered sugar shake, you're banging a bunch of bees up. Yeah, you're not killing them, but you're also damaging them a bit. But the Dawn Ultimate works just fine. And so you don't have to do that. It's a non-regional thing. So that's just, maybe I can save you a little help with that. I really appreciate the experiment because, doggone well, that's all we want to all do. Because we're, like, hey, there's, we heard one thing or another. And I've seen that tried out with a couple other commercial beekeepers. And so just my 2 cents there. No, by all means, go ahead and do all 3.
Okay.
But
let me see. I agree with people that make money from this to listen to them for sure. But one thing you got to take into consideration with commercial guys, they're very smart. They've narrowed it down to what works for them. But you also have to understand they have much deeper pockets than most of us.
Great point.
So when something makes sense for them, it may not make sense for you, because if they lose 10 colonies, they just make splits out of the other 1,490 that they're running, and they're right back where they're at. If you lose 10 colonies out of your 15, you're going to spend $2,000 to buy new bees. So just something to keep into consideration. I wonder if
well, the money I've spent on equipment and sugar and bees, going into my 2nd year, I've got 2 double deeps with 2 mediums that I haven't put together yet, and I've bought some nukes and bottom boards and covers from Miller Bee Supply. And I like Miller Bee Supply because I went to one of the big box and they have everything listed in inches. And I'm like, well, which one? Well, I'm a machinist by trade, so I tend to be really precise
right
when it comes to measurements. And I measured, I emailed them saying, well, which one is a medium, which one is a deep, which one is a shallow? And they sent me a flippant email back saying, well, everybody knows what that is. And I'm like, no, I don't know what that is.
right
Because if I told you to go get a 1/2-inch end mill and a thread insert from the tool crib, for an 8-pitch stub acme, would you know what to do? You know what an 8-pitch stub acme is?
I don't.
No, you don't. You're not a machinist. If you're not a machinist, you don't know what it is.
And if you're not a beekeeper,
Okay.
you don't know all the damn dimensions. They're just listed as shallow or medium or deep. Yeah, that's how I am.
And why would? Yeah, and if you're a machinist, you would say, well, why would you get an end mill and a thread insert? Because you don't need an end mill if you're a lathe operator, and you don't need a thread insert if you're a lathe operator or a mill operator.
DP, I always just use crazy glue, so you got me beat. Say in all fairness to
you should always hey, Silver Gorilla.
There you go, Silver.
What did you run?
Yeah, Silver, what were you running there?
Do you know the insert from a mill end mill?
He probably does.
Glue your boxes. My first boxes I put together, I didn't use glue, and they're warping on me already. So, always use glue on your boxes when you put it.
Yeah, up here, Type Bomb 3 seems to work for us the best.
Well, hey, DP, just to answer your question,
Amen.
I don't know shit from Shinola, so it wouldn't it wouldn't matter anyway.
Oh, well. Steve Martin does. If you remember.
Vaguely. Yeah.
Oh, he ran CNC lathe.
Oh, okay.
All right, guys. So we got about 5 minutes left tonight. Lee, Lee's got the early morning.
4 o'clock come early.
Yeah.
And I'm tempted to go check my Ratmageddon outside.
That's right. And both y'all on the right are on the East Coast too.
What's that? What'd you say, Lee?
I was saying both of y'all on the right side of the screen are East Coast too also.
No. Mike is in Central Time.
Oh,
right?
Yeah, I'd be Central on Minnesota, right?
Okay.
Right up there, but
Minnesota.
That's
so
right.
I'm the only Eastern timer. So
DC put something up here about Bob Benny. I'm sure they meant Bob Binney, but he has field biz going right because of development. Okay, so that's something else. Say one thing I will inject here about. I made the comment about Randy Oliver. He is not right all the doggone time. He had a shop called liquid oxalic treatment for mites, and they shipped it. They did an experiment with Bob Binney. Bob had like 200 hives, I think, through the University of Georgia. And take care, Rob. And thank you for stopping by. But all 200 hives died. And they come to find out it was a humidity issue, from what I could tell. So when I say, like Randy Oliver's got this stuff figured out, yeah, everyone's got it figured out right until you hit the side of the mountain and you go, yeah, I did crash.
Right. But that's the thing. But again, with someone like that, he's probably got I don't know how many colonies he's got, but he's probably got plenty.
Several thousand, yeah.
So, not 10, 15, 4, so when you're talking percentages, they can make some small mistakes.
What he did was fascinating, though, because they had wash jar samples,
right,
using all the different wash methods. And he actually made a shaker table on the back of the pickup truck, an electronic vibrator. So like 6 of these jars all shaking at the same time. They're even timing them, how long it would take, after this, how many shakes, how many minutes of shakes and whatnot. So that was one study he did that was pretty damn fascinating. None of us are ever going to build an electronic shaker machine for the back of our pickup truck to do mite washers. And if we do, the rest of us are going to hunt you down and unplug it.
Right.
Well, I'm going to take off here too, guys, but God bless, and hope you all had a blessed Easter too.
Oh yeah, it was good. I found a mated queen in one of my colonies that was in with another mated queen. So I was able to scoop her out and put her in a colony that was queenless, and now they're queen right. So
Fantastic.
it worked out good.
And DP and Lee, how was your Easter?
Busy. Pretty good. We had a big crawfish boil here.
Oh, you did?
Oh yeah.
Oh, mud buggies.
Yeah.
Tasty.
Yeah, mud bugs. We got those out. I got those out in my yard.
Really?
I got gum mud where I live. So, Lee, you know what that means.
Yeah. What helped me? All the crawfish around here were either $3.99 a pound or $4.29 a pound, depending if it was pond or spillway. Buddy that owns a store down the road from me that I have my honey at, he gave them to me for $2.99 a pound.
All right.
I got that discount.
Gotta love
Yeah.
the discount. Free 99, baby. That's what we want.
And that's the beauty of all this stuff that we're in with the machinist or the photographer or, or whatever. Bartering,
Yep.
especially with the economy the way it is. Yeah, I'll take a good barter any day. So that's a wonderful thing. Gentlemen,
My favorite bee book, before we leave, I like the Beekeeper's Bible.
do you?
Yeah, have you read it? Looked at it at all?
I haven't. There's one I'm trying to track down that Mike Palmer that's his go-to
Well-
one. I think it was actually printed in like 1890 or something like that.
This is more of a beekeeping history book.
There you
So
go.
it-
That's important.
So it tells you about, the pyramids and finding honey and all the old, it's a pretty nice little book.
Yeah.
And bees and mythology,
Oh,
all kinds
really?
of stuff. Yeah, all different kinds of flowers and
Oh, no kidding.
all kinds of stuff in here. So this one says $35 on the back. But if you use my Amazon link that I linked in my community the other day, I get a little kickback. So
Good.
just let you know.
Good.
But
Absolutely.
it doesn't cost you any more money. They just cut me a commission.
Every donation's appreciated.
I know. Hey, especially when you're not working and trying to make this bee thing go.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So,
It helps
well,
out.
guys, we'll catch you next week.
Oh yeah, we'll
Or
be here
thereabouts.
next Tuesday for sure, and probably one night this week. Well, I don't know. Lee's got a busy weekend this weekend, so we'll see how that pans out.
You got some weddings
Yeah,
to shoot, Lee?
Say that again, Mike.
You have some weddings to shoot?
Nah, I got to go Friday evening to set up for that event Saturday, and then that'll be a 12-hour day Saturday.
Okay.
And then a
Okay.
5-hour live stream after that, and then
I won't get out of there until 9:00 at night.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, that's when they
Okay.
close at 9:00 at night, and then we got to clean up. So
Okay. Well, hang in there. DP, I hope you have a great week, and we'll catch you on the other side.
All right, guys. Well, we'll call it right here, straight up 11:01, and Lee can get to bed because he needs a lot of beauty sleep.
I need a whole lot.
Don't we all, brothers?
All right,
care.
guys. We'll talk to you later. Thank you.
Thank everybody for
Bye-bye.
joining. Y'all have a good night.
Good night.
Good one.